Okay, hi there, hello there, how you all doing? Hope this Friday is treating you well. Hope you went through this week fine and dandy and have suffered too much, and hope you're ready for the weekend. Or hey, if you still have to grind, understandable. We have to survive out there, so it's completely fine. But anyhow, yeah, hope you all are doing fine. First, I think I'm gonna jump up with a quick round of mini announcements. The first one, which I've already also mentioned it on the socials, but I'm also gonna say it here. Unfortunately, because even though we've made good progress in the past 24 hours or so, which did, or even slightly more, which did surprise me. I'm honestly extremely thankful. Thanks a lot so much for the support and help. But as you can see, the progress bar is still not at 100%, or at the least at a point where I would be comfortably be able to like shut it down. So because of that, and I did set a soft deadline of hitting the 100% goal by yesterday. By yesterday night, by last night, if we hit this 100%, I would continue with my full involvement and participation within For a Cause charity event that they are doing for Halloween later this month. I think starting from the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the first stream, if not maybe even like 22nd, if I remember correctly, something like that. But because yeah, we didn't hit the 100%, that means that I still need to push on and still need to focus a bit more onto making sure that that amount is reached by the end of the month, because that's that is more of a hard set goal than necessarily the soft one. The soft goal aligned well into for two reasons. One, it's within like a 1 week time frame before the event started, so at the very least I can also be I can also give a bit of time to those, you know, organizing the event, to give them a bit of a heads up, because, you know, it'll be I don't see it professional from my side of things, even though, you know, the people out there have been completely understanding of the situation and all that, and, you know, they even said that it's not that big of a deal, the event itself. It's kind of more of an extra thing anyways, but still, every little bit helps in my opinion. And, you know, considering that, you know, I decided to commit to something and had to, you know, jump out of it, to me that I personally do not like it, because I'm the type of individual that, you know, commits to things that they say that, hey, I'm gonna do. So yeah, I feel that's kind of the why I feel a bit bad about it. But oh well, not all things go as planned. We push on. That's what matters most, that we don't get ourselves stuck in the bad. But yeah, that was the first reason why, because I wanted to give like enough time to kind of give a heads up to the to those organizing the event. And secondly, it also aligned really well with my actual bank deadline, because that's the 16th of October is, you know, I have to repay the loan. That's the set date. Unfortunately, yeah, we didn't hit it, and I did not pay it fully. I still I'm still missing a bit, but it's not as bad, as long as, you know, by the end of the month I still am able to cover it fully. That's I'm still gonna be in the clear without any kind of repercussions. If it goes over into November not being fully paid, yeah, that's when interests start to accumulate, and that's the bad. So yeah, because of that, I have to still push on, because that was kind of the idea of not having to overlap these efforts with the charity. But because they overlap with the charity, it's not fair of me to utilize somehow, because in a way it kind of looks like I would utilize the charity as a platform for me to kind of, you know, ask for support, and that's not what I want, because the charity is there for the purposes of, you know, raising money for other causes and helping out other people, not me. So yeah, I'm keeping myself a bit detached and independent, so that's kind of the plan. Yeah, we haven't reached the goal. It is what it is. We're pushing for onwards, yeah. But as I said, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna participate in full, meaning that I'm not gonna do my own stream for the charity with my own goals and incentives and donation links and all that type of thing. But that doesn't mean that I will not be participating. I've already spoken my interest, and already slowly starting the discussions of to be part of a charity stream organized by somebody else. I'm not gonna mention yet anything because I don't think they've made any social announcements or anything, or any public announcements at the very least. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, because I could be wrong, because I've been a bit off the socials. I think it's nah, nothing has been yet announced. It's fine. That's okay. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into details, but yeah, I am going to still be part of it. Just not me being the active an active stream pushing for extra donations. I'm just gonna be part of someone else's event, and maybe more. Who knows? At the very least, so far, one stream I can confirm that I will be part of during the event. Just, you know, not organized and by me. That's for sure. More details probably as the event closes in are gonna be announced. Yeah, that's a kind of thing. And, you know, speaking of which, as you can all see, you know, the progress bar with the links pinned in the chat, and also all the details about the links in all the relevant places, and even I have access to a command if you need access to the link that way. If you can help me out to reach the 100% mark of the donation goal, that'll be greatly appreciated. I don't think even like fully 100%, like even if let's say something equivalent to like what, 4 coffee donations, or kind of the ballpark of like 12 euros, if you are even able to like help me accumulate that amount by the end of the month, I can manage the rest. I can manage covering whatever difference would remain. But, you know, I still need a bit of a help and a bit of a push. But aside from that, that'd be completely fine. So yeah, even with 12 €2, which I don't think it would be the 100%, but close enough, I would be able to cover the rest of the amount without a problem. So yeah, that's currently my push. You have access to the links in all the relevant places. If you can do so, it's appreciated. If not, if it's just, you know, sharing around, you know, talking about it, or just simply be here to kind of keep a bit of an exposure to some degree, is helpful enough. And, you know, if you even want to like share it in other spaces, I do. Like I did put it on the socials. I'm gonna link the one that I posted last, just because it's like the blue sky one, but, you know, the deadline and all those mentions there with the 12 hours, you know, timeline and all that, it's no relevant. But, you know, just in case, if you want to help out, you can do so. Okay, okay, done it correctly. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of the plan. So yeah, even like sharing around, that's more than enough when it comes to like helping us. Hey, somebody else might stumble upon it and might be willing to do so, or who knows, anything of the sorts. But yeah, that's that's my general chilling and my general pushing in that direction. So hopefully that's gonna be fine and dandy. We'll see how these things will turn out. Yeah, I'm sorry about it that it had to go this way. I thought that things I thought I would probably manage it and have it covered by the deadline, but and not necessarily have it to kind of spill over within the event and actually be able to participate into the event fully. It's a shame, but oh well. At the very least, this would be the last time for a long while where I'm gonna be holden by some financial issues. So hopefully, when the next opportunity comes around, I'll be able to actually participate and not having to cancel. Because yeah, I already, you know, it already happened twice to kind of voice my interest in being part of this and having to cancel twice. And yeah, I'm sorry about that. I do feel like it's a bit rough on that end, but oh well. It is what it is. To be fair, if it would have been achieved, I can tell you for a fact that at the very least he I would have not done the ttrpg stream idea that I would have had planned. That's for sure, because I wanted to run it initially with some friends of mine, but I think things would have not aligned anyways after like having some short discussions with them to actually participate. I wanted to do it with the OG like escalation crew, have them involved in this, but yeah, things are wonky for everybody, so you know, I think it's probably for the best. So my idea was probably do something probably a lot simpler, maybe something in the vein of what I've done in January, or maybe even more simplified. I don't think I would have necessarily done a fundathon style of charity stream, but at the very least something in similar veins at least. But oh well, we'll push it for another time for the charity event. But anyhow, aside from these, not much else I have to announce, because this was kind of like this main general thing for me to talk about with my participation. But still, overall, I'm still excited because I'm still going to be part of some things, and at the least the one that I so far I voiced my interest in participating. I'm hoping, and I think, because I already see some people who are the people willing to jump in on it, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting, and can't wait for that, because there's some cool peeps that I would have I equally wanted to have some opportunities to do something together, and some that I wanted to kind of, you know, have part of like some fun shenanigans once more. Because if you've seen me in other in past charity streams where I've been like a participating member, you might know, and you might have an idea of what sort of event is gonna be. But yeah, that's definitely one of them. I'm not sure what else not sure if there's anything else announced, because I'm looking through the charity Discord, and so far I don't think anybody else has voiced any planned events that they're open to do. With the general people, like, hey, everybody does it in their own comforts, and that's completely understandable. But yeah, oh well, is what it is. But yeah, aside from this, I'm not you know, I'm not immediately gonna jump at things, because I think it's gonna be a similar scenario as last week, because you know, we're looking at the starting guide, kind of keeping the same thematics. Although I am running dry, so I'll have to figure out what exactly I'm gonna cover for next week, for like the ttrpg things, or if I'm gonna do something different. Still, you know, tabletop RPG related, but just something else. Maybe not necessarily starting guide, something spooky related. I don't know. I'll think about it, because I have no idea in that end what exactly. Because I was thinking maybe, I don't know, doing something Monster Smash or something themed, something that I wanted to do, but the idea came a bit too late to, in mind, and now I don't think I have necessarily the energy or time kind of want to catch up with it. Because you've probably seen a lot of like creatives and artists doing kind of like, you know, the very kind of Inktober-esque. Everybody's kind of naming it different, because from what I know, the person organizing like the Inktober thing has done like had like a weird disclaimer clause thing, where everyone participating in their Inktober event means that they were, you know, waiving their rights of what they've created to the organizer of the event, which I like. That's kind of shitty. Like, come on, that was like an event to kind of, you know, uplift artists and do fun things. But those who do not know, Inktober thing was like every day you're receiving a one-worded prompt. Could be like, I don't know, monster name, could be something just more just general like vibes or thematics, something like that, and you create like a piece of art for it. So I was kind of thinking doing something in that vein, but with ttrpg designs, like basically have like a quick one-day design of something under that thematic for like every day of October. But that idea came to me really fucking late, so I guess I'm gonna shelve it for next year. But that's definitely a cool idea. I'm not sure if I've seen anybody doing it in that regard. Like, yeah, doing like monster art or some other things. I'm pretty sure I've seen people, or like doing some, I don't know, vocal prompts or some maybe DM things. But I'm not sure if I've seen other people doing like homebrew related things, or maybe I've just not interacted with people that are kind of doing that in that niche. So definitely this is an idea that I'm gonna shelve it for next year, and I'm gonna 100% do it. It just came to me really late, and at this point it's kind of weird to jump on it like middle of the month. And as I said, other things right now get wonky, and I have to figure it out. And plus, you know, I would definitely either have to find a table prompt that at the very least is flexible enough to do such a thing, or at least I have to come up with one myself, one of the two. And that, because you know, but yeah, that was like an interesting idea. I'll definitely do it, and I'll definitely do maybe these kind of things and kind of keep an eye out for, because I'm trying to figure out like doing some other forms of content that, you know, could also be easily posted in other places and platforms. Because I know you can do it like for example, like on things like TikTok and stuff like that. I've seen like some people like posting their ttrpg designs, all that sort of thing, under these kind of things. So I thought that could be like an extra thing to do, like some more intended content for other platforms outside of just be pulling clips from the streams and having them posted. Which, by the way, I think I'm finally caught up. Like I'm at a point where all my clips are kind of like coming from like on a day-to-day basis, like on a stream-to-stream basis. Like right now, this is the scheduled clip for today is the last one that I have scheduled, because I have no other clips to pull. So I'm gonna have like another one for tomorrow and Monday, at the very least, according to this stream and next stream. Because as I said before, at the very least, I'm making the effort to get at least one clip from each stream and posting it on the social medias and you know, the short format platforms like YouTube Shorts and TikTok. So that way, you know, I expose myself in some other places. I have people, you know, view me in some other on other sites. Although I did notice like some weird shifts, at least on the YouTube side, with my reach. I don't know why. Not sure exactly what happened, but you know, those algorithms are a bit mysterious to me. And as I said before, I just like, at the very least, you know, I want to at the moment just post. I definitely want to improve the how I'm the formatting, or at the least how they are edited and designed. But that's something that I'm probably going to figure out later down the line, because I want to also, you know, improve some other things, especially on the stream format. I think that's definitely going to be a priority. I've found some things that could probably help me out with first of all, detaching myself from like some of the stream element things, because I'm still beholden to some of the things that I've not ported over. I wanted to have a few more stuff that just more internal, or more kind of more customizable, or something that I can do myself, and something that could allow me to then, you know, improve it and add better things to it, like leave room where, you know, things can expand and get better. Because I have some ideas, but some of it requires a bit of help with people that are a bit more talented and have a bit of that kind of creative vision myself. Because I can do a bit of like, you know, graphic design here and there, but it's very basic and baseline or something like that. But to an extent, because as you see here, like all the overlay formatting is done by me, and with freely available assets. But at some point, you know, I just want to but I kind of want to make the, you know, the thematics and the elements of the stream a bit more cohesive in theme. And I have some ideas, but, you know, I definitely need first the finances to commission people to do such a thing, and many other things of that scenario. So at the very least, I would like to change it a bit so it's a bit more approachable. So, or it's a bit or at the very least, it leaves room for later down the line for me to actually add that vision. So that's definitely like one thing that it's prioritizing. Another one that I need to get on it as well is the Discord community. At the very least, I want to form a place where, or at the very least as bare bones as I can, but still safe and secure, of a Discord server that, you know, I can at the very least start to centralize a bit of the community, because that's definitely a place that I'm that's definitely, I'm pretty sure like that's like the first big problem that I have right now, is that because, you know, I am posting on all the places, all the socials, all that, but I'm still at a point where I still need to kind of you know, grow and bring forth like a more kind of consistent level of community and people that are joining here. I still need to first of all kind of, you know, harbor that, or you know, achieve that point of having that kind of level of, at the very least, have a general consistency of community. And one of the things that really helps is having your community centralized and not scattered across the various in doing all sort of things. Another one is, you know, branching towards more heavily into doing maybe some other exclusive things on other platforms. I had an idea of, at the very least, when it comes to like TikTok and or like short format platforms, to do a few things specific for those. That could probably also be put on social medias as well, because, you know, the formatting works there, works for there as equally. So something of the sorts. Maybe even in the multi-streaming scenario. I know I've seen YouTube has already like brought a thing where you can now multi-stream in both formats at the same time. You can be both on the kind of on the you know, on the portrait format for shorts, while at the same time also streaming in a full, you know, widescreen normal kind of like streaming platforms. That, like, that's definitely something I want to do. Not sure if I want to do that for all streams, but at the very least for like a few streams where I feel like it would work, or it could be achieved. And, you know, I'm still kind of like thinking about it, where exactly how exactly I'm gonna do that. I know for a fact that these types of streams could definitely be one of them, like the tabletop RPG ones, because they're more talky, they're more yappy, they're more about, you know, kind of having interaction with the community. Some of the gaming streams really depends. I'm not sure exactly how general kind of stream gaming streams would work on like kind of the TikTok Shorts type format, because, you know, the entire kind of, you know, real estate of the you know, of the video is kind of wonky formatted, because, you know, there's gonna be like a big chunk of the real estate, just the model, and because, you know, most games are not designed for like, be intended for like portrait viewing, and they're widescreen viewing. It's a bit rough. I know, like, I think Twitch, I think like TikTok has the format where you can actually watch it, you know, widescreen. But I'm not sure if I'm not sure how popular that one is compared to just a simple, you know, portrait, quickly scrolling type of format. I have no idea. I'll have to. That's definitely something that I'll have to think about it and kind of like figure it out. And, you know, many other things of that sort and scenario, definitely. But yeah, that's definitely like a step I want to take of just generally improving on things. And just slowly but surely just make things better. That's for sure. But yeah, aside from that, well, what's it? That, at the very least, these three are kind of the priority. I think at this point it counted to like 3 points. Then, you know, once I have some good foundation, I will then slowly but surely improve in other places. And of course, I want to do some other exclusive things, other platforms as well. Maybe some things more specific to YouTube. Maybe I could make some other types of content, or experiment with some other ideas that I would like to try out, or do some other things that would probably work a lot better for like more edited or purely purely kind of like, you know, video and VOD type formats. So yeah, I'll think about it, because I have some, not necessarily aspirations, but some other things that I would definitely like to like dip my toes and try and see what exactly comes out. Plus, you know, just by general, I want to definitely also go back into like more heavily back into my game design work and all that as well, with some of the other, you know, other platform exclusive things. Definitely I would like to have some coverage with things that maybe Twitch is not necessarily as open about it, or at the very least not necessarily as willing to let me do, as I've mentioned in the past, with private servers and all that kind of shenanigans, which does remind me, because I seen something in that regard today. Because I think you've heard me mention in the past the Turtle WoW private server. Which, for those who don't know, Turtle WoW is a World of Warcraft private server that is catered around the idea of creating a Classic Plus experience, which they've already done. They have quite a lot of custom content, while at the same time keeping the game in a very kind of, you know, classic vanilla World of Warcraft style and overall-ish design philosophy. It does have some more it does have some improvements and some changes here and there, even like with like class designs or anything of sorts. But yeah, that is kind of their plan. That is kind of what they're doing. And recently, because they are currently still in a lawsuit or give some sort of like cease and desist, or something of that sort, that has been received by from Blizzard, because, you know, I think I'm suspecting that Turtle WoW is probably gonna become the Nostralius of the Classic Plus kind of movement that is happening within the private server scene, as Nostralius was the you know, classic general, you know, private you know, general like vanilla servers that at the time Blizzard was not offering to the extent that the community wanted. And yeah, they basically sent a open letter on the socials and even on their Discord and all that, kind of, you know, reaching out to Blizzard to kind of be like, hey, we would be interested in having some sort of partnership or some sort of like open to the idea of you giving not only us but the entire World of Warcraft community the opportunity to have like some sort of like licensing or you know, some revisions to the terms of servers that would allow fan projects to thrive without having the fear of you know, legal conflict or some sort of other you know, company, you know, big company reprimand of any sort. Yeah, and basically be like, hey, we're willing to cooperate and find some way to find a lawful path of building, you know, some sort of either like licensing framework or anything in that sense, for not only us but all the other wider general like WoW private server communities to kind of thrive and be able to create content. I'm still like, I'm slightly like rereading their statement. I'm not gonna do like a full coverage of this, or like I'll just quickly mention it. But yeah, overall, like just a general you know, licensing, some sort of licensing, which I'm gonna say like already, like the thing that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, which is not the open letter. It's not what Turtle WoW is doing, because I feel like it's barred. From my understanding, it's some of the things that I've heard. Again, I've not kept up with the public face of Turtle WoW and how exactly they kind of show themselves. But from what I understand, they've had some moments where they kind of basically behaved in a way where they kind of poked the bear and kind of were a bit pretentious, or not necessarily pretentious, but definitely kind of having this kind of like sense of not necessarily superiority, but this sense of oh, we are doing this, you cannot do anything against us, and you know, they're gonna keep creating our own WoW experience, and you can't do anything about it, type of thing, where, you know, you're basically asking for conflict. So yeah, I'm not saying that Turtle hasn't necessarily behaved completely appropriately at times, but this I think it's a right move. And this is kind of but the thing that irked me, which is nothing to do with the Turtle WoW having this open letter, but what I've seen some people like talking about, and people that, you know, allegedly are part of the community that kind of started discussing about it, kind of mentioning it, that all of a sudden they immediately jumped at this kind of like doomed mentality that, oh, they're giving in, they're giving in to the Blizzard's demands because they sent the lawyers and probably a cease and desist and anything of that sort, and they're now under a lawsuit, and they're basically giving up. I'm like, no, like this is extremely short-sighted. Like, I understand to some degree like why you have this doomer mentality, but just keeping yourself to this doomer mentality is not good. Like, oh yeah, just kind of feeding into this idea that the entirety of Blizzard is awful, and it hates its player base, it hates its community, and is just looking at profits and profits and profits. Because I can tell you, I'm willing to bet that majority of the developers from within Blizzard, and I say developers, people who are actually working and creating things with the game, have nothing against these types of things. Have nothing against private servers, have nothing against fan-made projects and community-made projects and modding or anything of the sorts. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of the times are honestly appreciating and loving it, because to some degree it has always been this kind of like unspoken understanding that, hey, we know you're doing that thing, they keep doing that thing, as long as we each keep to our own fences, we are fine. Which is like one of the things that that all kind of like poked the bear to some degree. But I'm telling you, like, Blizzard overall, I would say, like, the developers overall, I'm pretty sure have nothing against this and don't wish any ill to come to this this project in any sort of way. It's just that the aspect that Blizzard is not led by the developers, it's led by, at times, by investors, executives, people who are looking for the profits and looking for ways to not diminishing. So I do not necessarily see that this is gonna be a bad thing, trying to bring reach out with an olive branch towards Blizzard. And honestly, from what I've looked at it from somewhat of an outside perspective, and to some degree here and there where I still kept myself a bit in the know, I feel like Blizzard is more, at the very least in the past year at least, has been more on the path of let's call it healing, and or better said, kind of in the path of kind of bringing more trust back to the community, and slowly trying to kind of fix some of the wrongs, or trying to improve and act upon their decisions a lot better. And I've seen changes, like and the overall kind of changes with how I think World of Warcraft Midnight and the entire development pipeline, because I've seen like videos talking about how they've completely changed the pipeline and how they are now making sure that there is content in a consistent manner across the board with the World of Warcraft IPs. And when I say IPs, that means that retail, classic, remix, season discovery, all of that has, and even like multiple expansions being developed at the same time and all that kind of thing. So they are already trying to improve their processes there to some degree. I think they're starting to do a bit better by the Overwatch community with some of the changes they have done recently, and from what I've heard, some of them are well received. Diablo 4, I think overall has been generally well received. I'll be fair, Hearthstone is a nebulous one that I have no idea. I've been out of this Hearthstone circle for many years, so I have no idea what's happening in that scene, unfortunately. But I think, like as I said, overall I think like Blizzard right now is the kind of getting themselves back into the community's trust and kind of wanting to kind of get to earn that trust back. And honestly, I feel like Blizzard could be really smart if they would be open to achieve this for like multiple reasons. Like the first one being, yes, you're showing good faith towards the community, and hey, you're willing to keep this project alive and you're fostering a place where community-made projects are can be done without too much issue. Of course, there's probably going to be certain requirements, all sorts of things which I could probably theorize to some degree what exactly could be the possibilities. But second to that, I think Blizzard, if they are smart, they would be willing to hear this out and be willing to kind of entertain this idea, because aside from doing good by the community, they can absolve themselves of an issue that they are gonna be hit at some point to some degree, which has already been seen as being shown with some movement, and that being the element of game preservation. And what I mean by game preservation, I mean the stop killing games movement. Because we have already seen, I think I've just seen recently an announcement that the developers of the Crew 2 have made an update on the game where now we can also play that game in an offline mode, which basically means that which definitely is an outcome from the entire push that Stop Killing Games has done, which kind of utilize the closure of the first Crew as kind of a stepping stone. So we are all already seeing some positive change towards that. And if Blizzard is smart, this could be a way for them to absolve themselves from the problem of from the problem of having to face with new legislations and new laws within the making sure that their games are well preserved, and be like, oh, there's no reason for us to be compliant because we are already compliant. We've already reached out to communities way in the past and decided to create this licensing platform, which from within this license, if the community desires, and they can just simply host their own servers to preserve the game from an expansion to an expansion-like basis. Because this licensing could not only just be for fan-made products, it could also jump towards private servers of certain expansions like Classic, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, that sort of thing, and have the communities kind of hold that responsibility of maintaining them to some degree. So honestly, I feel like that if Blizzard was smart, they would consider it, they would look into it and be like, okay, let's see what we can do, let's see how we can change it, let's see what agreement we can arise. Of course, there's gonna be some compromises, there's definitely gonna be some changes, because there's definitely a looming issue with this, which I can already, some people have already mentioned, and I can also look at it because Total War has given some example of projects and platforms that have or other studios who have offered support and either some sort of licensing or platform that allow the community to make fan-made content of theirs. But all the games that were mentioned, in most scenarios, aside from like a few exceptions, are games that they still have some form of pay-to-play format. Like they gave an example with the Skyrim modding scene. Well, yeah, Skyrim modding is supported, but you still have to buy the game. They even mentioned things like the third-party servers that are available on Minecraft. But once again, to access those servers, first you have to acquire the game, and which means that you're still paying for a game, and having multiple reasons for Minecraft to be bought is not something that Microsoft or Mojang would be against. Other similar things of that degree. So yeah, and here we're talking about where it's been available freely, it's simply from projects that have been discontinued to some degree or another, or are really old projects where I'm not sure they're ranking as much profit as they've been as they would currently do these in current days. But with World of Warcraft, that's kind of the nebulous area, because we're talking about a game that is still cranking out content. It's still maintained by the community, by the developers. It's still it's still active, it's still ongoing, and it's still in development. It still has teams fully dedicated to it, and it's still a paid platform. So how exactly are you gonna be able to create this licensing? The easiest probably example would be they somehow integrated as part of the subscription, like you are able to access these servers as long as you are a subscriber of World of Warcraft, similar to kind of you know, you just need an active sub to play WoW Classic. That could be a thing. Another way, but I think that would complicate things in somehow having the creators somehow pay some sort of licensing fee or some sort of like monthly fee or anything else of the sorts. They could they can withhold that cost, but that would still complicate some things. But yeah, there's definitely some nebulous areas because, you know, we are talking about a still ongoing game compared to some examples that they've given that either they're paid to play and that's it, you pay them once and you have access to them, that type of games, or games that are way too old to, you know, feasibly say that, you know, would you know, work within a similar format or would work with a similar agreement compared to, because that's kind of thing, like where exactly, there's definitely one of the interests for Blizzard, at the very least the executive and the profit side of Blizzard, is that, okay, how is this gonna drive us more benefits? Because yeah, in general you can say just by simply having the community engage and allow the community to create fan projects just keeps the IP alive and keeps the IP within the general pop culture, in the general perspective of the consumer. So that means that anything World of Warcraft related that might come out from Blizzard, that it could be from, you know, third-party things or maybe some other things adjacent, people would still be interested because, like, hey, yeah, I may not play the retail version, but I'm a big fan of this, you know, third-party project or fan project that has been allowed to make, and, you know, I still want to have that kind of, I don't know, maybe factory representation or whatever, engage with those products still. That could be one thing. Or secondly, have some way where, you know, there is some money that is given directly through to offer the access to this to these types of services or these servers. Something either you could dictate it by anybody. I don't know. You could have something like anybody who at the very least has bought an expansion once or has access to already have some expansions in their purchase history, could have access to them. If we are looking at it at a very simple basis, maybe, not sure if that's gonna be enough or that could be convincing enough. Like, so basically they're putting into this idea that, you know, you can't have access to it if your account is a trial account who has not made any purchase in World of Warcraft and any major purchase like an expansion or a subscription, and only by then you could have free access to that, which that could be a way. Or, you know, the more obvious one, which would be having a monthly subscription active, and, you know, that way WoW can have access to it. That could work, I guess. I don't know, that again, it's complicated. There's definitely a little concern because they did mention there that they're willing to cooperate with any sort of licensing deal they offer, and I'm like, don't necessarily voice it. I understand that why you kind of voiced it this way, but my fear is that I don't necessarily voice it where they have full control, have a bit of a negotiation table there, because, you know, because believe me, if the licensing is too aggressive, people are not going to do it. Like, why do you think there's barely anything within the Warcraft 3 Reforged community, or like within that Warcraft 3 Reforged game? Because they did like a quick TOS change with Warcraft 3 Reforged, where everything created within the remastered game is also owned by Blizzard. They've done it this way because I think there's at the least within the executive moneymaker side of Blizzard, there's probably still has been this kind of bitterness that they've lost the profit that could have been for them Dota 2. As for those who do not know, Dota 2 comes from the older game Defense of the Ancients. That's what Dota means, which was a Warcraft 3 mod back in the day. It was kind of the progenitor of the MOBA genre and the granddaddy of all MOBAs. And the creators were basically acquired. The creators of the original Warcraft 3 mod basically have been kind of swooped in by Valve, and under the wing of Valve, they've been like, here, release this game as you wish. And under the name Dota, they can't necessarily call it Defense of the Asians. I think they had like a quick legal battle back in the day, which of course could have not been won by Blizzard, because they don't have any ownership of that creation, because it's a completely separate product. But I think like there was like a bitterness left there, because they definitely lost a moneymaker, because Heroes of the Storm, mostly because I don't think they had a clear vision of what Heroes of the Storm was supposed to be in the mobile space, and not succeeded to the same degree. I still believe that Heroes of the Storm still have potential. It still is one of my favorite MOBAs, and I'm still sad that it's kind of within this basically now it's left in this deaf limbo state of just general maintenance mode that is also everyone within the StarCraft community is kind of suffering as well. Yeah, that is a bit sad. Yeah, that is yeah, it's, as we've seen, it's complicated. I'm not saying that to be like fully like this, because believe me, Blizzard comes with a similar idea of licensing as the Warcraft 3 Reforged one was. Nobody's gonna do it, and if you're gonna become compliant to it, I'm not sure if people are gonna appreciate that or be willing to stick around with you, which would be a shame, because I feel like I definitely see passion and interest and love for the franchise and the IP within the Turtle WoW community and within the Turtle WoW developers. And it would be a really shame if they kind of would stomp out that creativity and that love for creating something of their own within the Warcraft IP or within the Warcraft franchise. Yeah, that's what I would say. That be careful. I think like that statement could lead to the possibility that that part of the entire open letter could be the possibility that Blizzard, which to be fair, unfortunately, there's no way Blizzard would have done that. Would probably do that anyways. But I'm saying that at the very least, there was not the implied idea that they would be compliant to anything. But again, they probably have done it this way because I don't think they're in a good position right now. Because at the end of the day, you're sued by a big AAA company, and you're just a small development team. Probably cannot keep up with whatever lawyer fees you have to deal with, or whatever legal fees you'll have to handle if you keep dragging this out. So I understand it's completely logical, and I said I think it's a smart move from the Turtle WoW side of things, because this could help the general WoW private server and general kind of community fan-made content community. But at the same time, this could be a great opportunity for Blizzard to kind of play their cards well, do something that could be viewed as positive and of wanting the best for the community, and showing care for the community, and while also at the same time having themselves an out when it comes to most likely incoming legislation changes within the EU when it comes to game preservation, because with this licensing they could cover at the very least a bare minimum. Of course, we are still at the early stages when it comes to like the Stop Killing Games movement. Talks have not yet fully gotten into, so we're not sure exactly how that is going to shift and change, what exactly is going to happen in that regard. But it's definitely one of the things that we have to keep an eye out, because there is high likelihood that some things are gonna change that in that sense. If Blizzard, some things are gonna change at the very least when it comes to newer games. This Blizzard might still have an out and an exit, because being an ongoing developed game, they might not necessarily be withholden to the same scrutiny. But I'm wondering if there's still going to be some level of compliance that they will still have to have, because to some degree argue that, hey, as you still create this game, as you're still making new content, as you update it, we could also give you a prolonged time frame compared to general one-time releases. type content, or like either for or in development live service games that are not already accessible to the public, where you could have a longer time frame of compliance compared to the developers who have yet to start a project, but when they start a project they have to be compliant. Something of that sort. Who knows? Maybe. It's complicated. I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy, but I'd say that I feel like overall it's a good move that they've done to kind of reach out to Blizzard this way in kind of a peaceful manner. And I was kind of a bit annoyed of seeing some people within the Battle Royale community already jumping at this humor mentality and already kind of like rating and seeing that, oh, they've given and, you know, the server is gonna definitely, you know, be down or shut down or dead or anything of the sorts. I'm like, you're really short-sighted in this, and you're just looking only at the bad instead of no, instead of just simply being you know, being this kind of like aggressive and having this kind of like your doomer ass mentality. But anyways, yeah, I was still kind of like looking at it, and yeah, I've seen wild aspects of this. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, weird behavior. But anyhow, yeah, just general, like, I think 1 hour-ish rant of general things. But in a bit, we are gonna jump into the actual topic of today. I just noticed that thing with the rollout and just wanted to like have like a quick discussion, I think, about it. It was still in my mind, I think, so I don't really say I want to have it a bit of an out. But yeah, first, I think I'm gonna take a quick break because an ad is about to come up in less than 2 minutes. And when I return, we're actually gonna jump to the thing that we're supposed to be looking at today and talk about those shenanigans. Yeah, I'm gonna take a break now. And once the ad is over, I'll return, have a chat about ttrpg things, which is the reason why we came here. So yeah, I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, there we go. So before we get into the actual topic of today, I do want to make one thing clear when it comes to this stream, or more specifically any stream that I do that is tabletop RPG focused. My plan and my hopes and wants with these kinds of streams is for this to be a place where, you know, people can just jump in, talk about whatever their love of TTRPGs, be it I don't know, things that they've done currently in a session, things that they're working on for like a game they're part of or running, or whatever else. Or maybe just be out here to ask for advice or help or any sort of suggestions of any degree. I want to, you know, make this place where, you know, people can jump in, talk about their love for tabletop games, and be out here to kind of help each other out. And one of the things that I do want to make it clear that even though I am talking about something, or I have like a subject chosen for today, that's mostly as kind of a filler topic, something that for me to, you know, discuss about, have a kind of have a chat towards, and have something to, you know, to kind of keep the conversation going, or keep you know, keep myself engaging and doing something within the stream, and not necessarily wait for people Yeah, but if you want to ask something that is not necessarily related to this game system specifically, but anything else that is tabletop, maybe something you know, within Pathfinder, D&D, Cyberpunk Red, whatever. Still, I would still advise, you know, don't shy away. Go on, just ask, talk about it. Show, in whatever degree, if you feel like you need the help, or just simply want to chat to some degree about those elements. If you and even I can offer a bit of advice, a bit of help, and my perspective on things here and there. If you want to know, like, quote unquote, my I guess my background when it comes to this, I've started, you know, getting into tabletop RPGs like in 2018. Like most people, through D&D, that's kind of was my focus. That was the game I played for like a good number of years. I would say in equal amounts, maybe leaning a bit more in the game master side than the player side, but almost, I would say almost equal amounts on both ends. Then in recent years, starting from like more than a year ago, I started getting into other games and other systems. I played some World of Darkness Splats, some Hunter the Reckoning First Edition, the Imbued, for those who know what things and understand what that means. Some Vampire the Masquerade's 20th anniversary as well. Also, they played some a bit of Pathfinder, the remastered of the 2nd edition. And also had a few sessions of a Gestalt game, which, for those who do not know what Gestalt is, if you were to like put D&D 5th edition and the, let's say, Pathfinder 2nd edition like on opposite sides of a spectrum, Gestalt will be probably somewhere in the middle. It's a bit more complex than D&D. Has a bit more granularity, in that sense, a bit more choices in character creations. They can be a bit more diverse, but it's not to the level that Pathfinder offers you within the game. So that's kind of, it's a healthy, I think, medium, but it has its own like specific and custom things. So yeah, I've already played some other things. I've also talked about other RPGs. I've talked about Lancer. I've actually also have a bit of coverage in depth about the Gestalt system. Daggerheart. Looked really quick at Candela Obscura last week as part of the kind of you know, a horror TTRPG theme for this month. We also recently checked Bunkers and Badasses, the D20 system for the Borderlands universe as well. And probably we're gonna look into some other things in the future. Definitely. Yeah, even though I might not necessarily be knowledgeable in the particularities of certain systems and their rulings, I might at the very least be able to offer you some general perspectives on how you should think about the, I don't know, problem, issue, situation that you want to have figure out. And then from that point on, just apply your own knowledge of how the game works, the game is running, and anything of the sorts. And definitely, even within the space of these streams, I want to check out more games and more systems. Definitely, at one point, I want to get back to, you know, covering things from, as I said, because I did talk about Daggerheart, but I talked about the playtest version way back, like more than a year ago. At this point, when the playtest version was public, I also, even with Candle Obscura, I would like to look a bit more in depth into it at some point. We only check the quick starter guide. That's what's available to me right now, because I do not own the books or the system right now, or a PDF for myself. But something in the future, so that's definitely something that I'm gonna look back into. Some other things as well. Definitely, I would like to check out like Cyberpunk Red at some point in the future, and probably some many other systems. But yeah, as I said before, the general idea is this is a space where people can just talk about their love of the games, of general tabletop games, discuss things however they feel like, and they should not necessarily be beholden to whatever topic I'm covering. If you feel like you want to derail a bit off topic for a bit, that's completely fine. I've done it many streams. It's okay. It does not bother me, believe me. So I just like to generally yap about these kind of things, so that's fine. But anyhow, so Okay, so let's see. For today, we are looking at Mothership, a sci-fi horror role-playing game. I'm gonna be honest, I do not know too much about the system. It's kind of a first look for me, as it might be for some of you as well. I just know that it's a space themed sci-fi, horror, which is a award-winning sci-fi horror RPG where you and your crew are trying to survive in the most inhospitable environment in the universe, outer space. So yeah, it's definitely has a lot of things to do with space travel and whatever things you're gonna encounter this within it as well. We kind of have like a quick overview. From my understanding and from what I looked into it, Mothership doesn't technically have. It has a kind of a starting guide, but it's set up in this way. The best example I can give in kind of how it is set up, and I can quickly give you like a show of it. This one page, like it's within this kind of like educational system, kind of for those who have done like Udemy courses or anything of the sorts. It's kind of within this kind of like chapters that you, as you progress through them, they show progress within here as well. Also, I do apologize for being at a widescreen. That's the formatting of the website. So for anybody who prefers to watch things within the dark, I'm sorry that I'm flashbanging you. That's just how it's gonna be, because as I said, this system does not have a quick starting guide in a PDF style of format. This is kind of the formatting that we are going to encounter, and this is what we're going to cover for today, because that's all I have access to, because I do not own the books or the system. Although Ghost has given us a sneak peek that she has bought I think the Mothership PDF or the books. Oh, no, she got the deluxe box set, which also includes the PDFs. So yeah, she kind of already ominously told us, be prepared for what's to come once she's back. So yeah, horrifying things are going to happen in the future. By the future, somewhere next year. Well into next year. So yeah. But yeah, when it comes to like what they have access within the core, even like the core book, like the core set has quite a decent amount of like goodies. Like you have the DM screen, you have some item cards, enemy cards, character cards, definitely some monster enemy cards. I'm not sure exactly what you would call them. Of course, game master screen. I think these are not fully sure. I'm guessing there are some sort of like references and aspects, referential material required for the system. And that's quite a good chunk of books, while the box set definitely has a lot more in that regard. I think in almost equal. I think maybe more tokens than the normal one. Definitely the differently colored stuff. You also get dice. That's nice. Yeah, they're a slightly more color, plus you'll get also 4 additional modules. That's probably the whole shtick. You have basically this kind of more, instead of a black and white design, you have a more of a colored design. Yeah, you get player's survival guide, operational manual, unpacked shipbreaker, punch board pawns, pound of flesh, dead planet. Yeah, a lot of interesting things within that yeah, it's a D20, it's a D100 system. So I'm guessing that percentiles are an element of how you determine how well or bad you've done a task. And from the looks of it, it's kind of designed with, easy to approach in mind, but definitely with good elements of hardcore and survivability, because I think it's gonna be, it probably has a bit of that element where I think there's like the Alien books, from what I know, where they're kind of designed with the idea that most of the characters you're gonna make are not gonna survive. You're just gonna always have to make sure that you're gonna make from the very get-go, you kind of know that you have to make new characters. You're never gonna be just one guy that has managed to survive all the odds. So that's definitely a thing. But yeah, as I said, I'm kind of looking at it also blind. So, and all that we're gonna cover for today is what is available here. I'm not sure how lengthy it is, because again, it's within this formatting. But I'm suspecting it's gonna be pretty brief, and it just covers the essentials. But overall, it has quite a decent amount of like resources. They have a companion app that you can also have access on the browser and also within the mobile, which is really nice. Of course, you have a Warden screen, which is the Game Master screen, a basic character profile, an advanced one. I think the naming here is probably swapped around, because I think this one should be the basic one and this the advanced one. Recommended for adventure players who actually prefer a little extra space. Or actually maybe it is as intended. I don't know why this one looks a bit more advanced to me. Ship manifest, because you know we are in space on a ship. And of course the list of all the modules. So yeah, it has some decent resources. But yeah, when it comes to learning how the game is made, it's only this. So we have. And for like a quick look-see, this is kind of how it is designed. This is the basic character sheet. Yeah, definitely we have like a sort of class, health system, elements related to the health and stress system. Definitely, I do like that they are kind of 1 to 8 type step formatting, which is nice. And it also kind of like directs you like where exactly do you need to look for what stats, or what cascades into what. So that's nice. This is the more simplified one. I'm guessing this is the advanced one for players who already know all of these and how exactly they are interconnected, and they don't necessarily need that much reference and want to keep it simple. And of course, these are elements, these are reference material that the game master needs in mind of, like medical treatments, cover, def, ranges, tactical elements, damage, and how wounds affect impact. Something of the sorts. Yeah, and also the companion app. I'm not sure if we're gonna look at a companion app today, because it does require a login for that thing, and I've not dealt with it. And they also have like a pro version. Oh, I'm guessing similar to Beyond Unlimited Characters, import export, one character creation, and regenerate the character. Okay. Character portraits. Make it easy on the eyes, which are kind of annoying that really they're putting dark mode under a paid feature, but well, I guess. I'm guessing this is kind of like a NPC stat brawler. Okay, interesting. But yeah, I guess there's no need for us to delay any longer. I am gonna do my best to like in exactly how it's gonna work, but hopefully it's gonna work alright. See? But yeah, this is the Warden educational system, the basic training course for Mothership. Welcome to Mothership, the sci-fi horror role-playing game where you and your crew try to survive in the most inhospitable environment in the universe. Outer space. Let's excavate dangerous derelict spacecraft, explore strange unknown worlds, counter hostile alien life, and examine the horrors encroaching upon your every move. Throughout this course, you will learn how to make a character, what is involved in playing the game of Mothership, how to be a good player at your table, and the introductory elements and what it might look like to run your own game. Yeah, I do like how it's kind of like designed in this kind of like, again, educational kind of onboarding type of, formatting, because it's kind of, it definitely is, if it feels within the theme of what Mothership is, or the idea that this is a sci-fi setting where you're some sort of like astronauts, or definitely a group of spacefaring individuals. So you might be beholden to some sort of a company or entity or some other higher organizational power. So this could be like some sort of like onboarding system. So yeah, when it comes to the chapters, we have on the Welcome to Mothership, the introductions, and how to make a character, which I'm guessing is probably the general overview. And then when it comes to playing, general idea of what is role-playing, dice notation, stat checks and saves, modifying stat checks, stress, panic, and basic chaining completion. Well then, I guess no time like the present, so let's go through our introduction. So, introduction Wes. Watch the video above. Okay, we do have a video. Let me audio-wise. Oh.
Introducing Wes.
Yep. Up. I'm not looking at it, but I'm just.
Hello, Warden. I am your Warden Educational Support, or Wes.
Definitely in theme.
Teach you how to play Mothership, the sci-fi horror role-playing game where you and your crew try to survive in the most inhospitable environment in the universe, outer space. You'll have to excavate dangerous, derelict spacecraft, explore
it's literally the introduction I just read.
Encounter hostile alien life, and examine the horrors encroaching upon your every.
Sounds like fun.
Throughout this lesson, you will learn how to make a character, what is involved in playing the game of Mothership, how to be a good player at your table, and the introductory elements of what it might look like to run your own game. To get started, you'll need a pair of 10-sided dice, as well as a character sheet. You can download and print a character sheet here, or you can download the free Mothership Companion app for iOS or Android.
Yeah, it was basically the introduction we just read. But with some recording. Listen to a recording of the introduction without music or video to review text below. Okay, so it's literally exactly what we read, just given by Wes, our little happy face. Yeah, nothing new, so we'll continue. Part 2, Inspiration. Gonna be exactly the same idea, like we're just gonna listen to this and
Mothership's Inspirations. If you're unfamiliar with role-playing games, you may best understand science fiction from books or movies. Some touchstones for Mothership, like Alien or Aliens, may be something like Event Horizon. In fact, you can find some of Mothership's biggest inspirations below. Now, if you are not new to role-playing games, maybe you might know games like Traveler or Coriolis. Those games are definitely more on the side of pure science fiction. And likewise, you might know something like Call of Cthulhu, or maybe Delta Green.
It definitely has a bit of Lovecraftian to it.
Definitely more on the horror side of things. But if you mash those together, what would it be like to investigate ancient mysteries aboard derelict spaceships? Well, now you have the key to Mothership.
Okay, is it a... Yeah, it's the same thing. If you're unfamiliar with role-playing games, you best understand the sci-fi fiction. In fact, you can find some of the Mothership's biggest inspiration below. Now, if you're not new to role-playing, maybe you might know... So yeah, it's the same idea. So definitely an aspect of Lovecraftian horror with the elements of, space-faring travelers. So yeah, definitely horrifying. But a good idea. Now that I'm thinking of it, like I feel like Scorn would fit really well within this within this game system that we just played a while back. Like, damn, Scorn would actually work in here, like some sort of like biomechanical biopunk game. you know, visiting this kind of dead planet who try to achieve some sort of like immortality. Like I looked at, I decided to look at a bit of like a video or two that talked about like what is the general, what is kind of like the general narrative of Scorn through the game, and it was quite obvious that, you know, even from the very beginning, there's a lot of themes around, you know, fertility, reproduction, you know, life and death as an aspect. Something that I didn't pick up on, which apparently that was like a thing. The character that we played up to the point where, you know, we got, you know, basically drowned by that tower of white liquid, which you can already guess what that could represent. And then the next scene was was a character like going out of a cocoon and just ripping out this kind of embryo-looking tentacle from their chest. Apparently, those are two separate characters. It never occurred to me, the idea that I thought that maybe, you know, we were captured by some sort of entity, or somehow the kind of wider factory-like machine, you know, got us and put us in this kind of weird incubation kind of process. That's kind of what I thought. I felt like it was all interconnected within one character, not the story. It was not like two different characters going through this. Like, that was weird. But yeah, it was definitely weird, sort of, you know, life and death themes and all that kind of thing. But yeah. Okay, activity, Mothership inspirations. Here are a few inspirations that went into developing Mothership. Count any you have experienced. So we have Alien, the 79 one, Super Metroid, nice, Event Horizon, Sunshine, Tetsuo, the Iron Man, I think I'm pronouncing that right, I might be wrong, I'm not familiar with it, Haunted Cities, Broadspec, Dead Space, oh my god, Dead Space is amazing, yeah, Polaris, Roadside Picnic, Legend of Galactic Heroes, Sanities, Doom. I'm already concerned. I'm already concerned if Doom was an inspiration in this. Flame, Diamond Dogs, The Thing, Saramina, Pitch Black, If It at the Death Factory, Moon Colony, Bloodbath, Collapse of Heroes, 2001's The Space Odyssey does not surprise me, Hyper Normalization, and The Forever Wait. Definitely. Oh, there's some new ones like Live in Death Factory. I think, like probably like the newest one, probably. Yeah. Other them like are within the 70s, 80s, 90s. I think there are a few within the 2000s. There's like 1, 2, 4. Okay, oh, I think there are like a decent amount within the 2000s. How many have you experienced? Actually, let me do a count. I'll be honest, I've not actually watched the original Alien for Metroid. Was not a key thing. No. I've said it before, I'm not the biggest film buff, so I'm not really... You know, maybe I've watched Event Horizon, I just don't remember. I'm not gonna count it. Dead Space, definitely. Doom, 100%. I'm already kind of like looking for the thing. I don't think so. Yeah, 2. Still right at home playing Mothership. Oh well. Oh, Toyman Plus, have you ever thought of writing your own Mothership Adventure module? Oh, they have a third-party publishing license. Nice. Make a great Warden. Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, I'm the biggest film buff, so I'm not necessarily in the know of all these, but this is definitely a good reading material for the future, or like watching material, actually, not reading, but definitely Doom. And at the very least, when it comes to like the gaming side of it, I'm somewhat familiar. Like, yeah, I've not played Metroid, but I know a bit of Metroid, so, and similarly know a bit of Alien, so I will still be within this 1 to 5 bracket anyways. Would be higher than that. It's fine. Although I did watch Love, Death, Robots. I might have watched other sci-fi things, but Love, Death, Robots could work. This probably predates it. Kind. Was Love, Death, Robots released? Check now. Let's... Was released in... Oh no, 2019. Interesting. Yeah. Had a 4th season. Damn it. And my head. Had a 4th season. I have no longer have a subscription for Netflix. Fuck. Anyways, oh well. Too bad. I guess it could have been part of its development, but I guess those were heavier inspiration. Like Love, Death, Robots. Considering like the concept of Love, Death, Robots are like singularly 1-episode storylines, where throughout the seasons you might have some episode sequels of previous contained episodes from from older seasons. Maybe that's kind of it. Which I figure like those could be interesting for like one-shot scenarios or anything of that sort. That could be nice. Oh yeah. Now, part 3, audience. Who will really enjoy a game of Mothership? Okay, so from the looks of it, this is really brief. Doesn't really cover. The chapters don't really cover a lot. Oh well.
Mothership for me, if you enjoy horror games where terrible things can happen, gritty games where you're not always the hero, or games where your survival is an accomplishment, if the above sounds like you, congratulations and welcome to Mothership.
Yeah, so definitely it's a bit more on the grittier side, where your character might not come alive out of it. I think probably that's where the Alien inspiration comes from, and even the Alien game, like the tabletop system, kind of has that concept where your characters could easily be just on the chopping block. You're just constantly making new characters, probably per session, to try to survive. But at least have a character that by the end of it manages to survive. Okay, now how to make a character. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Hold up. That's actually a cool way to get ourselves kind of into it.
Lesson 2. How to make your character.
Love if this would be
Step
saved.
1. Roll
Time.
stats. To begin, we're going to roll our stats. Every character has 4 of them. They are strength, speed, intellect, and combat. You can think of these
I have a
four
D10
as your
somewhere.
basic underlying character traits. Your broad capabilities as a human being.
Got 1 D10.
or
I got
animal.
2 D10s. There we go.
In order to determine these, we roll 2 10-sided dice. You'll see this notated as 2d10 from here on out. You add the number on both of those dice together, and then you add 25. If your dice is labeled 0 to 9, then count the zeros as 10. Roll up all 4 stats the same way. An average score is about 30, but don't get too hung up on that now. It's the choices you make, not the numbers you roll, which will determine how successful your character becomes.
Drop the dice, which went way the fuck out of my room. 1 second. There we go. Got it. Oh yeah, it's two. You have to roll 2 d10s, which you basically sum together, and then you add 25. And from my understanding, an average roll is somewhere above 30. So yeah, to begin with, you're going to roll stats. Each character has 4: strength, speed, intellect, and combat. These are the basic stats. Your broad capabilities as a human being or android, because I guess you can also be an android. Oh my god, I'm already interested. In order to determine these, we roll 2 10-sided dice. You'll see this notated as 2d10 from here on out. You add the number on both of those dice together, and then you add 25. If your dice is labeled 0 to 9, then count them as zeros. As 0, 10. So oh no, you're not. You're giving a questionnaire. Okay, you're rolling a strength stat roll, a 5 and 7. What's your strength? You also had 25, if I'm not mistaken, right? Zero to 10. My understanding is that you sum them up. So that if it's 5 and 7, that's 12 plus 25. That's 37. Because it said that it is a bit of an average roll. Submit. Yep. It is 37. I know my maths. Okay, I thought if we had to roll ourselves, it just roll up all 4 stats the same way. An average score is about 30, but don't get too hung up on that now. It's the choice you make, not the numbers you roll, which will determine how successful your character is. Because yeah, you could be really smart, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna make good choices. I can tell you that from personal experience.
Step 2. Roll saves. Next, we're going to be rolling our saves. Saves represent how resistant your character is to different kinds of danger and trauma. They are sanity.
Oh.
Your ability to make intellectual sense out of chaos, handle and encountering entities from beyond space and time, and how well you cope.
That sounds bad.
Fear. Unlike sanity, this is your ability to emotionally handle the horrors of space, as well as other emotions like loneliness or isolation. Body. That is your physical wherewithal. It's often used to see how quickly you respond to danger or resist infection and disease. Roll 2d10 and add them together for each of these saves. But instead of adding 20 to that total like with stats, we're only adding 10 to each. Once you've marked those down, it's time to choose your class.
Okay. So it's a similar idea. Sanity is the ability to make intellectual sense of the chaos, handle encountering entities beyond space and time, and cope with stress. So yeah, we're probably gonna deal with some weird, I'm guessing amnesia-akin kind of problems where you're witnessing things beyond normal human comprehension, and that's probably going to be fun. Fear, unlike sanity, is your ability to emotionally handle the horrors of space, as well as other emotions like loneliness or isolation. Okay, that means that that's gonna suck. And body, that's your physical wherewithal, often used to how quickly to respond to danger or infection or disease. Yep. Determining save is the second step of your character creation. So yeah, it really does follow that, like here, like it shows you kind of the steps you make for each of these. Because you go to step 6, then you go to step 7, and then you go back to 8. And finally from 8 you just get credits. Fair enough. Getting back here. Now then, we choose a class, which I'm guessing is some sort of like specialization that you have within as part of your crew. I don't know, from what I've seen from the character sheet, it doesn't look too complex.
Step 3. Choose your class. In Mothership, there are 4 classes of characters: Marines, Androids, Scientists, and Teamsters. Each of these classes contain many different kinds of characters. For example, Marines. These could be colonial Marines or soldiers, veterans, security officers, anyone who is trained in the military at some point in their life. Androids. Artificial people, synthetic beings. Whether they're more human than actual humans or lifeless automatons will depend on your specific table. Scientists. This includes doctors, researchers, explorers, or anyone who's really interested in using a scalpel or a beaker in some way. Teamsters. These are our space blue-collar workers. Auto mechanics, ship engineers, miners, and even pilots. They are the backbone of the galaxy. Pick the one that seems the most fun to you. Your class broadly defines your character background, but we'll get more into how to specialize each class in a little bit. For now, just mark a class by checking the circle next to it, and then alter your stats and saves accordingly.
Okay. We have a list here, yeah. So, okay, so yeah, we have marine, androids, scientists, and teamsters. Yeah, generally anything military trained, artificial sentient beings. Which, you know, apparently here you can just choose however you want to like design them. I kind of want to go more inclined to the robot side of things. This includes, yeah, scientists, the smart peeps, and these are the ones that go down to the nitty gritty. I'm also imagining now, because I saw miners and immediately my mind went to Rock and to Deep Rock Galactic, and I'm just imagining a fucking Rock and Stone campaign within this system, which would be amazing and equally horrifying. I kind of love that, low-key. I also see like what stats we get out of each. Marine gets 10 in combat, 10 in body saves, 20 in fear save, and 1 max wound. Android gets 20 in intellect, 10 whatever stat. So basically you're choosing basically probably in the theme of you're an android specialized in a specific thing. 60 to fear save because you are artificial, you don't fully comprehend, and plus 1 to max wounds. Then scientist and intellect 5 to 1 stat, 30 to sanity saves. I guess they are able to comprehend a lot better than most. And Teamster plus 5 to all stats and plus 10 to all saves. So Teamsters are a bit more of the all-rounder. Androids are definitely more on the, I think, hyper specialized. These Marines are definitely more, I think, combat inclined. And scientists definitely, I think, for kind of the investigator types. Okay, pick the one that seems most fun. Your class broadly defines your character background, but we'll get more into how to specialize each class. Now just mark the class by checking the circle. Okay. I would definitely be... Personally, I would definitely... Ooh.
Step 4. Roll health. Your character can only suffer a certain amount of wounds before they die. You get a wound anytime your health drops to 0. The maximum wounds you can suffer depends on your class. For your maximum health, roll 1d10 and add 10 to the result.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. Maximum starts at... Guessing you have can only suffer a certain amount of wound when you die. You gain a wound anytime your health. Depends on your class. You start with your maximum 0. Whenever your health falls below. But what's the default? Because from what I'm reading here, not all classes get +1 max wound. And the chart doesn't tell you like, okay, oh, I see. So +1 max wound. So I'm guessing the capstone maximum starts at 2. But for the Marine and Android, the maximum can start at 3. So I'm guessing depending on your class. So I'm guessing all the other ones have 2 wounds, but the Marine and Android have 3. That's my understanding, because I don't see where it mentions where exactly you're told how many wounds you have. Guessing that's again, this is a summarized version anyway, because it's kind of a quickly introductory. But where are we right now? Oh, we're still at how to make a character. That's just 11% complete. That's fine. I'll be honest, I do like the formatting of it. it definitely makes it easier to approach, easier to kind of get a grasp of it, and having something visual and auditory to kind of step you through there, and not just be given a PDF and be like, here, figure it out, and you go through it and learn it. Especially for those who are more akin to like being visual learners than through reading comprehension.
Step 5. Gain stress. Next is stress. We'll go into more detail in another lesson, but right now, all you need to know is that you've got a current stress and a minimum stress. Both of these start at 2.
Okay. Yikes. Okay, more detail. Okay, current and minimum starts at 2, so I'm suspecting if you lose stress, that's a bad thing. And I'm guessing that's gonna lead you into some other not so fun scenarios. Then trauma response.
Step 6. Note trauma response. Along with stress goes our trauma response. Your trauma response is a little side effect your class may have. Marines, whenever you panic, every close friendly player must make a fear save. This means that whenever a Marine panics, everyone close by has a chance of getting a little rattled and possibly even panicking themselves. Androids. Fear saves made in the presence of androids are at disadvantage. Androids put everyone on edge, and their cold, lifeless demeanor often makes it harder for other characters to cope with their fragile emotions. Should this apply to other androids? Great question. You'll need to discuss with your warden to decide what is appropriate for your table. Scientists. Whenever you fail a sanity save, all close friendly players gain 1 stress. Whenever a scientist can't explain the inexplicable, it has a tendency to put everybody on edge. Teamster. Once per session, you may take advantage on a panic check. Teamsters have seen it all and have the ability to shrug off panic. Heads on task.
Oh boy.
We'll talk more about panic checks in a future lesson.
Yeah, they did see it all, huh? Okay, so yeah, Marine, whenever you take panic, every close. I like this concept. I like this idea that somehow something that you do affects the rest of the group in most scenarios. So it's not just, it's about how not only you respond to whatever is happening, but how the team responds to your reacts to your response. And I think the Marine one is probably the most obvious you could think of. Whenever you panic, every close friendly player must take a fear save, because it's actually, if the Marine is panicking, you should probably, the dude who's been trained to handle probably terrifying shit and being there locked in, your ass should definitely be panicked. And the same example was kind of given with the scientists. Like, scientists cannot explain whatever this thing you're dealing with, then it's probably not a good thing that you're around whatever that thing is, unexplainable thing is happening right there and now. So yeah, that's not good. Then yeah, I like the fear for the Android one. The fear is at disadvantage. That's an interesting one. That definitely feels that definitely feels a bit interesting, because yeah, you're seeing this entity that can definitely cope, or mostly just it cannot comprehend or does not have the human comprehension or the human concept of fragility to the level that a human would have it, because they are mostly an artificial being that is probably more resilient than the squishy friends next to them. Yeah, that is interesting. That's definitely interesting, and I don't like the idea that androids could probably cause each other androids disadvantage. I would say that if we are talking about androids created in different media, that could work. That could definitely work. Man, the more I think of Android, the more I have a kind of have like an idea of what I would like to do if I were to. If Ghost who decides to jump onto this, like, I kind of slowly have an idea already. I like already the themes and the concept that the game goes on with, so yeah, I'm definitely on board. Yeah, I do want more shenanigan things in my 5, so why not?
Now it's time to pick your character's specialities, or as we call them, skills. Your stats tell you your character's basic competencies, but your skills describe what you've learned or trained over the years. It can be learned in school like a scientist, or on the job like a teamster, in boot camp like a marine, or even programmed into you like an android. Each class comes preloaded with a set of relevant skills. These are the absolute basics of what someone in that area would probably know. Additionally, each class has a number of bonus skills that you select now. In order to choose a skill, you need to have at least one prerequisite skill, except in the case of trained skills, they're the entry-level ones. To see if you have one of the prerequisites, trace the line from the skill name you want back along its arc. If you get one marked farther left on the line, well, you've got a prerequisite. You'll see how many additional skills you have underneath the class name on the right side of the sheet. For instance, if you picked Android, you get to choose between one expert skill or two trained skills on top of linguistics, computers, and mathematics, which all androids get. And remember, if you take an expert skill, it needs to be one where you already have the prerequisite for it. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to take explosives as an entry-level android, since you won't have jury rigging or chemistry to begin with. Think of skills as a wish list of the kind of things you'd like to see in your game. Don't get too caught up in trying to pick the best survival skills. And unlike other games, you don't pick up many new skills in Mothership, so you should build the character you'd most like to play right now.
I see. Probably going in the same idea that there's not much progress happening to your character. Yeah, I have Marine, that is military training and athletics, plus one expert and two or two trained. Android is linguistic, computers, mathematics. They are either expert in one skill or have two other trained skills. Then scientist, one master skill and an expert in trained skilled prerequisite. And bonus, one trained skill. So basically, scientists can go only one branch fully down, and then can just get another trained. So basically, you know, as a scientist, they should have a specialty in something. And Teamster, industrial equipment, 0G, and they get also one trained and one expert. Yeah, to kind of get an idea of it. Like, yeah, some of them like interconnect from the looks of it. Like, let's go to something that I think I saw really interesting. It's, yeah, let's say for example, Teamster, they get industrial equipment and 0G. Which industrial equipment can allows you two options, either asteroid mining or mechanical repair, while 0G, which I'm guessing lower, is just piloting. So basically, these are your options, either asteroid mining, mechanical repair, or piloting if you want the expert, and then anything here. I see that it also offers a few like empty circles, which I'm guessing these can also be like places where, you know, both you and the wardens can be like, here, have something extra that might be fitting for the game's theme. From the looks of it, there's also like some element of being able to train a skill and how exactly you progress in that train and what exactly are the conditions for you to train in that skill. Alright, so let's see. Quizzes, zoology, botany, geology, industrial, jury rigging, chemistry, computers, 0G, mathematics, art, archaeology, theology, that's an interesting one. Mysticism, oh boy, that's probably gonna get funky really quick. Xenoesotericism, damn. Military training, rimwise, and okay, and athletics. I guess they're mostly organized in a way that, you know, go from one way to another. You have psychology, pathology. Oh, so yeah, if you have psychology, you can go into field. So yeah, there are a few like interconnected like this. You can have like one expert that goes to another expert. Interesting. We have surgery, ecology, I was here. Ecology, acid mining, mechanical explosive, pharmacology, hacking, piloting, physics, partner survival, firearms, and combat. And here you have sophonology, which I do not know what that is. Exobiology, not sure what that is. Surgery, planetology, robotics, engineering. Cybernetic, wait, how do you learn? How do you get from robotics? Oh, mechanical repair, that's how. Interesting, okay. Artificial intelligence, hyperspace, and command, which I'm guessing you are like some sort of... Yeah, interesting. And you also have like a quick questionnaire, but we're gonna look through that and respond to it after I take a quick break, because an ad is about to pop up. So I guess this is a bit lengthier than I expected. At the progress, we're still like in the introductory phase, where we're getting into role playing. So yeah, there's still quite a bit. Oh yeah, anyways, I'll take a break here and I'll be right back. Alright, there we go. We can continue. So, as a quick question, because we were just looking at skills, it is mentioned here, try it for yourself. What skill can act as a prerequisite for surgery? Select all that apply. So, surgery is... That's why I just saw it. Oh, there it is. It could be pathology and field medicine. Guessing, should I also choose pathology, because it's technically a requirement for you to get to 3? Have like pathology first. We have like zoom. Definitely not botany or chemistry. So, yep. They also were thinking like, wait, botany? Oh, just didn't notice the line. My bad. Botany, field medicine. Enough. Take it again. Wait, isn't it the same questionnaire? Like botany, field, biology, zoology. Yeah, it was the same question. I thought they had like a selection that randomized. I guess not. Didn't notice botany here in this selection. I kind of like hard stuck here. It's fine. Yeah, the class will tell you how many additional skills you have. Yeah, an android picks an expert or 2 trained on top of the linguistic computer mathematics. And if you take an expert, you have to have the one prerequisite first. And that also applies to master, which I think only the scientists can start with 1 mastered skill. That one to be. Some skills as a wish list of the kinds of things you'd like to see in the game. And yeah, and the whole thing is, yeah, the skills are more like a wish list, and from the very get-go, go with the exact skills that you want them to be the defining factor of your character. Yeah, that's kind of the go-to. Now we have roll, loadout, trinket, and patch. Guessing it has to do with like equipment.
Step 8. Roll loadout, trinket, and patch. Next, we've got a little bit of flavor. These next 3 tables will tell you a lot about your character if you let your imagination wander a bit. First, roll your loadout. That's your equipment. A trinket some little bauble or object that you keep with you at all times, and your patch, which is a little bit of flavor that you keep on your outfit. What kind of person do you imagine? What does this patch or this trinket say about you? Don't worry about fleshing out a detailed backstory. Instead, seek to learn more about this character you've created during play. Each action you take, whether under pressure or during shore leave, will help define your character and maybe reveal your past as well. That is, if you survive long enough. Finally, you roll 2d10 and then multiply their total by 10 for your starting credits. That's your money.
Okay. Those are like some elements which I'm guessing you obtain from the character creator. Although I'm guessing the companion app might also offer some examples or something like that, or at least the companion app, if not this book. The introductory page. But yeah, definitely kind of once again mentioning like if your character survives for long enough, it definitely kind of, I think Mothership plays a bit into that idea that not all characters are long lasting depending on the scenario. So don't necessarily create something too complex. Just have the basics and then you know, develop them as you go, as you play within the campaign and sessions, because you never know, your character could be dead the next, and all the effort you went to over explain and over detail and get so heavily attached to the characters will just kind of be thrown out the window, which, you know, I guess that is the intent nature, that not all things that you'll encounter be things you would survive from. I'm guessing depending on your game master and how exactly you set up sessions and encounters and scenarios and all that, you could probably make it to so that, you know, your party could avoid such outcomes, I think. Or in case you don't have a game master or generally a crew or a group that prefers death as being one of the major consequences. Like challenge and risk, yes, but not maybe be certain or ever-present death.
Finishing. Lastly, finishing up. Write your character name and your character pronouns on your sheet. Mark 0 above the high score, and that's it. You are now ready to play Mothership.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, really cool. A quick kind of rundown of the character creation process, and even without the video, the kind of the video onboarding, they are simple and quick to understand. I appreciate that you have multiple options. You have something that offers you a bit of a visual representation, something that is purely audio, and all of it goes exactly, and all of it's transcribed fully. So what you're reading, it's also the same thing that you would be listening to, which I do appreciate. It's a nice way to kind of ease yourself in and don't let the players feel overwhelmed that they have to read a lot of content. And I like the moments where they kind of occasionally like sprinkle in, like, here, have engage yourself with with the information we just told you, to see if you've comprehended, if you understand it. And no big deal if you made a mistake or two. It's fine. The thing is that you are at least learning. You're getting some grasp of what what the game is about. Now, finally, we are a third of the way there with this one. What is role playing? Are they lengthy? Okay, they're not that lengthy. I think we're gonna go like this for like watching the videos and see like where exactly how exactly they format all of this in a kind of video audio presenting kind of way, and I'm gonna have my interjections after the video and maybe within it, depending on how lengthy they are. But I think they're designed, to be pretty brief and to the point, just so you can easily kind of like go through them.
Lesson 1. What is a role-playing game? A role-playing game is a game of pretend. You and some friends will each play a character, while one of you will act as a warden. The warden describes who you all see and hear, who you meet, and how the world reacts to your actions. They also act as a judge of what happens when the players attempt to do things. Usually, this is as simple as the player saying, "I opened the door," and the warden replying, "Okay." You open the door, and on the other side you see... And then this is where the warden would describe what is on the other side of the door. But occasionally, when it's unclear what would happen, you or the warden might roll dice to determine the outcome. Other than the sci-fi technology, everything works just like it does in real life, and people respond to your actions just like they would in real life. In short, you can do or say anything in the game that you could do in real life with similar consequences and a chance of failure, which we determine with a roll of the dice.
Yeah, quite brief, and for anyone kind of like familiar with the role-playing format, like, yeah, you have a game master, someone who takes the role of all the other elements of the game that is not the player character, is there to act as a judge and kind of an arbiter of all the elements that are happening within the game, and kind of at times has the final say depending on the scenario of certain rulings or certain scenarios, and there to kind of present you and guide you through a narrative of your own making, because, you know, it is all about the player's agency of their decisions of what they want to do in the space crafted by the game master, and, you know, the game master then responds accordingly, and depending on what actions you want to do, if there is a chance of failure, if there's not, like, if it's not a form of act that is of ease for your character, then which would include some element of failure, then you instead roll a dice outside of just simply saying that you do the action, and based on the result, that will determine the outcome and possibly failure in case being unfortunate in your dice rolls.
What's different about Mothership? If you've played role-playing games before, you're probably familiar with the basics. But there are a few things that are different in Mothership that will be helpful to keep in mind as you learn. There are no levels or experience points. Characters improve mechanically by converting stress into better saves. Characters primarily improve by making allies, acquiring wealth or a ship, installing cyber mods, gaining knowledge, and collecting favors within the game world. You don't roll for every little thing. If you have the right tools, skill, or class, you don't usually roll unless the stakes are high or there's a lot of uncertainty. Rolling often will lead to failing often, which will make your character seem like they are incompetent, which they are not. They only need to roll when a failure would significantly alter the course of play. There are no social roles. Instead, social encounters are handled through role-playing. This doesn't mean you need to be good at acting or improv. Instead, you just need to describe what your character is attempting to do. For instance, okay, I'm going to intimidate the security guard by pretending to be an important C-level's personal assistant. I'm going to be yelling and screaming. Violence is extremely deadly and should be used as a last resort. The game is not built around satisfying combat challenges where players are presumed to prevail. Instead, it is gruesome. If you are used to playing a lot of video games or a lot of heroic high fantasy role-playing games, this can be very demoralizing at first.
At first.
Try to find new solutions to violent encounters that stack the deck in your favor. In Mothership, a head-to-head fight is a sure way to lose. Healing is expensive, and desperate players finding a way to pay for procedures can drive the game forward. Medical procedures take a long time. If you're injured in the game, that could put your character out of commission for weeks or months at a time. That doesn't mean the game stops, as the game doesn't revolve around healthy people fighting battles. It just means the narrative shifts. Encounters are not balanced to your character's capabilities. The game doesn't provide a satisfying but beatable challenge every step of the way. If an obstacle can't be beaten easily, you'll need to think hard and work together to find a solution, or retreat and focus on other objectives.
Alright.
Your stats and saves are not necessarily a measure of your character's personalities. They are a measure of character's ability to act under extreme pressure. Someone very intelligent might be a blubbering mess while under fire. Likewise, someone who is shy and squeamish at the office might prove to be courageous and competent in a life or death situation. Mothership is about testing those moments. How you roleplay your character's personality is entirely up to you.
Okay, yeah, so it's I'm definitely on the idea that, you know, stats are not beholden to your character. It doesn't go into the general kind of character fantasy progression, or that's this kind of idea that you're becoming some sort of all-powerful, ever-improving type of character, where it's more about boons, the relationships, you know, and generally the equipment and you know, knowledge and resources that you obtain across the game is something that, you know, is predetermined by how you play and how you're gonna approach scenarios. So yeah, it's not about you becoming a super advanced player character. It's just about having a wide array of tools, be it, you know, as I said here, resources, knowledge, allies, in general, wealth and technology, or anything else within the world that could give you an extra edge. Again, I think going back to that alien aspect, or even to some degree maybe some other horror-esque games that focus a bit more on that social side of things, where combat is not the main pillar. Combat is not there to be for you to constantly be engaged with. And why I'm saying it's a bit more akin to Alien in this is that if you engage in head-to-head combat, you might just not have your character by the end of it. So that's definitely not something that you should choose willingly and choose wisely. It's more about kind of, you know, thinking outside the box, using the tools that you have at your disposal, and find a different edge towards your you know, maybe there is something within the environment, if you're talking about something that you're probably going to face that would lead to a combat scenario, but you could maybe find ways to neutralize or give permanent distance between you and whatever that is. Or, you know, in moments of high intensity, when it comes to a person that's about to get hostile, maybe instead of, you know, going into combat, you start like socializing, you start negotiating, and all of that is purely done through the, you know, element of roleplay, which is nice because at the very least it doesn't feel like you're forcing you that, you know, you have to invest in it. And I think that could not having social roles definitely puts it more into that scenario where at the very least you're never gonna feel like, you know, you have to push forward the social character, because that's an element that can appear at times when it comes to games that, you know, branch out when it comes to skills in this at this level, where even social elements are a skill, you know, like most fantasy games. Some other like games with elements of roleplay have this aspect where, you know, social roles are something that you can get better at, because that then basically creates this idea that or at the very least this subconscious idea that, okay, we know who's the social character, and because of this it's going to create a snowballing effect where, because we know that the social character is always going to succeed at social encounters, which is going to push them forward. And here it kind of removes that, because by not having social roles, so that way everybody doesn't have this kind of subconscious, you know, crutch, or like that's this kind of like subconscious kind of stop of theirs to be like, okay, anyone can socialize, and how exactly would my character socialize or you know, react or interact with the current scene and scenario, within the current scene and scenario? How exactly would they behave? And, you know, which can already give you a variety just by thinking of, you have a blue collar you know, worker type class, you have a highly intelligent scientific individual, you have a almost unfeeling, or at the very least more non-human perception of a kind of the world kind of entity with the android, and the more, you know, rough and tumble kind of rough and gruff kind of individual that is the Marine, that would definitely will interact a lot more with a bit more pressure. You can already start to kind of like deconstruct even just by looking at those four classes at a base level, and then depending on other elements, on, you know, how your other, yeah, stats are not necessarily dictating. They can maybe guide you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you hold them by them. Just kind of taking in perspective the wide aspect of your character, the overview, like the entire concept, and how exactly would how exactly it would kind of like, you know, react and integrate itself within the environment. And you look at the character as a whole instead of just be beholden to the stats. But yeah, also adding the element that, you know, healing is not something that you can find at any corner of the world and not necessarily easily obtainable. Also kind of adds into that element of maybe you should not have you know, combat as your first choice of action. And yeah, as I mentioned here, like stats and saves aren't necessarily a measure of a character's personality or a character's, you know, roleplay. It definitely shows like what they're capable of and what they're good at, but that doesn't mean that it also heavily determines how they react. Of course, you can jump into some elements of like stereotypical concepts, but that doesn't mean that you have to be beholden by them. Yeah, that's definitely a good overview of those elements. Now we have dice notation. Basically, how exactly you interpret the dice rolls. Trying to find the video.
Lesson 2. Dice notation. There are 3 ways dice are notated. D100 dice or percentile dice.
Okay.
One D100 means to roll a pair of 10-sided dice. One die represents the 10 digit, the other represents the ones digit. The result will be between 00 and 99. In some games, 00 equals 100, but in Mothership, it just equals 0.
Okay,
Example,
nice reference.
0, 0. That
Okay.
equals 0. 0, 3 equals 3. 4, 5 equals 45. 8, 0 equals 80.
And so on.
D10s, or 10-sided dice. XD10 means to roll a number of 10-sided dice and add them together. X stands for the number of dice. It might be 1d10, 2d10, 3d10, or any number. When rolling d10s, a roll of 0 equals 10. Examples, 2d10. 0, 0 equals 20. 0, 3 equals 13. 4, 5 equals 9. 8, 0 equals 18. A plus or a negative next to a roll means that the roll has advantage or disadvantage. We'll cover advantage and disadvantage in a little bit. The panic die. Occasionally, we use a 20-sided die, which we call the panic die.
Okay, so there is
We
a
use this die to make panic checks, which we will cover shortly.
there is like an inclusion of one separate die type aside from the D10s, but yeah, it's either a D10s or a percentile system. I do appreciate the clarification of 0, 0 representing 0 in this case, because I've heard that, you know, percentile dice have always been a discussion within like the tabletop groups, like what exactly they represent when it comes to like visualization. Because for those who do not know, you can have percentile dice that one represents the tens and one represents just the single digit. So you have one that it's 0 through 1 through 0 through 9, or like 10 through 9. I think like it's like 0, 1. Let me double check. If I don't know fully, because I've rarely, to be fair, I've played games that I've rarely used. Try and find the one that, oh, I think I found it. Yeah, it's 0 through 9. The 0 usually represents 10, and the other one is it's 00 to 90. But yeah, usually in the case where it's just 0 through 9, usually the 0 represents the 10 for a D10 case. But you know, you always have that scenario where you go to 0 and the 00. And there's always been that discussion, like what exactly does that mean? Because technically the 0 is a 10 and the 00 could represent just 0. But it's nice that, you know, they offer a clarification, which I'm guessing that this also implies that there is no guaranteed just guaranteed pure perfection like a result. Like there's a level of imperfection to every dice roll you do, but you know, 99 is one of those things where it's like near perfect. Like it's are almost unlikely to fail, but you know, it's near perfect kind of. So while here, yeah, it gives you the obvious, like, simple example in you. Yeah, when it mentions d10s, that means that it's something that you sum together when it comes to results, where 0 is a 10, and when you have a d100, it's a different kind of sum. Now, depending on your table, on your group, you could have like ways to determine, because you might not have a percentile set, you might just have d10s. Just color coordinate them and apply these rulings mentioned here. And keep yourself to that color coordination. Yeah, don't don't try to cheat out the game master or the group. The panic die is interesting. I'm guessing the panic die represents like some sort of like behavior or reactions or effects that would probably apply to your character depending on certain scenarios. Oh, hi there, Laxa. How are you doing? Sure thing. I do appreciate the hydrate. Will do so. Also, let me quickly give you a shout out before I continue. Oops. Put that command wrong. That should work. Oh, you're playing 7 Repo. I hope you have some fun with that. Of course, I will hydrate. I forgot to refill my water. I'll just drink whatever is left and I'll deal with it after the break. I'll do a refill. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Hope you a nice day. Yeah, I'm just out here just chatting my way through like ttrpg things. Just general coverage, nothing too hyper specific. To be fair, it's my first look on Mothership as well. But hey, if you're out here for some horror sci-fi, go ahead. Nothing I think too graphic is gonna happen. It's just a rundown of how the system runs, or how you can make a character and how to play the game in general. For anybody who has like some sort of triggers, I don't think this quick starter guy would hit those triggers, so we should be fine. Or would cause any triggers. But anyways, from the looks of it, yeah, we're going quite fast with the components. We'll have what? Stat checks, panic, training complete. So yeah, I'm suspecting that we're gonna go through this pretty fast, and then we'll see what exactly we'll do for the next hour. Because at the very least, I would like to run for like slightly over 3 hours. That would be nice. We have a. I think we're gonna just have something similar to like the Candle Obscura. We're just gonna have like a general chat, yap around about what we just looked at, and see and get like a general opinion.
Lesson 3: Stat checks and saves.
Nope.
Whenever you want to do something and the price for failure is high, roll 1d100 and attempt to roll lower than your most relevant stat. This is called a stat check. If you roll less than your stat, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail and gain 1 stress. A roll of 90 to 99 is always a failure.
Ooh.
Saves work the same way, except they are in reaction to something, a defense against something bad happening. Your stats. You have 4 main stats, which represent your character's abilities when acting under extreme pressure: strength, speed, intellect, and combat. Strength is a measure of your physical fitness, carrying capacity, and athleticism. Speed is how quickly you run or move, but it can also be how quickly you act, even over a long period of time, like how far can you hike over a few days. Intellect is about recall and inventiveness. A character with a low intellect is not necessarily uneducated or lacking in critical thinking capacity. It just means that they have a hard time recalling important information or coming up with novel solutions while under extreme pressure. Combat is primarily your character's ability to fight, but it could also be used to accomplish more mundane tasks during a violent encounter, like driving through gunfire or taking cover. In most cases, you won't need to perform a stat check.
That was a sudden volume change.
Your character sets out to do.
Ow.
Your characters are assumed to be competent professionals at their jobs.
Same volume.
You
Weird.
only need to roll in moments of great uncertainty.
Yeah, pretty obvious kind of like rundown. See West section below. Oh, so I'm guessing they have like a quick interjection when it comes to how exactly you apply intellect. But I do appreciate that it's descriptive enough to kind of have an idea like how to apply these stats. But I do appreciate like the vagueness, especially like with the combat, because we've already been told that the system is not necessarily, or the idea that within the system is that combat should be like your last resort. Is not something you should go from the very get-go. And as in most scenarios, if you have a head-to-head confrontation with whatever thing you're confronting, you might not come out as a survivor. So, you know, combat is not just how well you fight, but just also how well you perform under the pressure of, you know, violent scenarios. So I appreciate that there is still a variety, and it doesn't make the character feel like they're beholden to, oh yeah, this is my, you know, combat focused character, and you're playing a game where that element of combat is not really well encountered. So at the very least, you know that you're a character that can basically work under dangerous scenarios. Basically, I'm guessing they have the general discipline to do so. Also, yeah, the aspect that you have, I think, is it worse than D20? Like, is it 1 in 20? It's technically less. Here you have like a 10% chance of failure. Like, there's always a 10% chance of failure, which is rough, I would say. But, oh well, doable. I got... okay, I got either a 4 or a 40, depending on how you interpret this dice. I just figure also. Yeah, and okay, so apparently the stress has something to do with failing. I'm guessing if you accumulate stress to your capstone, to your maximum amount of stress, that will probably generate a panic roll. That's what I'm just suspecting before we even get there. But we also have intellect and ability. There's never a situation where low intellect stat means that the player should avoid making informed decisions, thinking through things critically. It just means that the player may not be able to accomplish their plans while under pressure. Take speed, for example. Cleo is running from a mutated cyberhound. She wants to get through the airlock and hit the button to close it before the cyberhound reaches. The Warden calls for a speed check, which Cleo fails. Warden rules that she gets through the airlock but isn't able to close the door in time. Cyberhound now attacks her. Just because Cleo failed her speed check doesn't mean she couldn't attempt it, or even that her character is slow. It just means that in that specific moment, under pressure, she wasn't able to accomplish her goal. With that in mind, let's look at another example. The crew is exploring a strange derelict vessel of alien origin. Nox inadvertently triggers a security response which traps them in a chamber via a force field as the room slowly fills with an unknown corrosive gas. Nox notices an electrical panel and asks Warden if he can jury-rig a laser cutter to draw the power from the ship's power to supercharge it and see if it'll blast through the force field. The Warden calls for an intelligence check, at disadvantage because of the alien technology. However, the Warden also thinks that this plan will work, so they state that a failure just means the solution will take more time. And another round of damage for everyone. And only a critical failure will mean that Nox will be unable to accomplish his goals. In this situation, intellect wasn't about how smart Nox was. It was about whether he could use that information in his training to use critical thinking to accomplish a task while in a life or death situation. So yeah, it's basically acting under pressure. It does not necessarily represent a character's actual intelligent capabilities, because we are human beings. We've worked differently. I can tell you that, like, especially for those, I think, in the neurodivergent community, where just things come at different speeds, at different spaces, where everybody learns in different ways and adapts and behaves in different ways. Not everyone works at the same pace to achieve the same level of or quality of result, which is completely fine. It just offer, you know, the means and interpretation in such a way that, you know, it doesn't belittle or lessen the character.
Your saves. You have 3 saves, which represent your ability to withstand different kinds of trauma: sanity, fear, and body. Sanity saves are your ability to rationalize irrational information, to make sense out of chaos. You roll sanity saves whenever you see something that doesn't fit with your idea of how the universe should work. Fear saves are all about how you emotionally react to horror, because most of the time the players won't be nearly as scared playing at home as the characters they are pretending to be. Therefore, we roll a fear save to find out exactly how scared the character is. Fear saves can also extend into loneliness and isolation or other strong negative emotional reactions. Body saves are about how quickly you react to avoid danger or your body's ability to endure pain or combat disease and infection.
Yeah, you have a mental one, a body one, and a... Technically, there are two mental ones, but they are mental in a different way. One is more about emotion, one is more about rationalizing. So you have the logical side and the emotional side of your brain when it comes to fear and sanity, while body is just the generalized body. Because again, this game does not focus on anything social related in stats. Like nothing that you do socially is determined by stats. All of that is just pure roleplay. There's no social skills. There's no social saves. So, and definitely there's no social classes or characters. It's just how you roleplay that character, which, yeah, by the way you design them, could be a bit more of a social individual, could be more recluse, but that is not defined by their stats. It's simply defined on how you want to characterize your PC. Is completely fine. And I think that, yeah, this is probably even here mentions the difference between sanity and fear. This can be confusing for new players, and new wardens often have trouble to deciding where to call for one save over the other. The easiest way to ask yourself is whether the trauma is intellectual or emotional. Kind of exactly what I just said. Sometimes there will be an overlap, and it will be between you and the warden to make the call. Does seeing a dead friend rise from the grave combat your sense of reality or just terrify you? It's probably a little bit above. A good guideline is if there's a conflict to pick whichever save is the worst. Okay, that's but yeah, the ones that you have a higher chance of failure if you cannot decide. And then, and also depending on the perspective of your character, if you are really attached to your friend, or you're just a more empathic type of character, then yeah, it could be emotional. If you're more on the rational side because you're not necessarily as attached to the character, but you're right now witnessing a dead person rising from the grave, then yeah, it could be a sanity one. Then modifying stat checks and saves. I do like that immediately, even before looking at it, I already kind of went through the explanation, because I was thinking of the same thing, that fear and save feel like they're both technically mental saves, but in different directions. One is emotional, one is intellectual, or like logical, rational.
Lesson 4. Modifying stat checks and saves. There are 3 things that can modify the outcome of a stat check or a save: advantage and disadvantage, criticals, and skills. Advantage and disadvantage. Whenever you're making a roll of any kind, stat check, save, panic check, damage, etc., anything, and the character has a situational advantage, like assistance from someone else, roll twice and take the best result.
Fair enough.
When at a situational disadvantage, like poor weather or bad visibility, roll twice and take the worst result.
Yeah, go akin to D&D.
Is notated with the positive plus sign. Disadvantage with the minus negative sign. Example, body save plus.
Okay.
Body save
I don't know why the...
advantage. If a character has both advantage and disadvantage, they cancel each other out.
So there's no like stacking negatives. I'm gonna read through this one because for some reason I think there was like a mistake probably in the editing of the clip. So just got blaring audio from it. So yeah, there are 3 things that can modify the outcome of a stat check or save: advantage, disadvantage, critical successes, failures, and skills. Advantage and disadvantage, as it was said there, depending on the case, you roll twice. If it's an advantage, you choose the highest of the 2. If it's a disadvantage, you choose the lower of the 2. Quite akin to D&D, except that it's it uses percentile or 2d10s depending. And if you have both disadvantages and advantages, they cancel each other out, and they usually are notated. If it's an advantage, which is a plus. If it's a disadvantage, is a minus. Okay, then let's see critical success and failures.
Critical successes and failures. Whenever you roll doubles, for example 0, 0, 6, 6, 7, 7, on a stat check or save, you have rolled a critical. If the roll is a success, it is now a critical success, and something very good happens. If it is a failure, it is now a critical failure, and something bad happens. And furthermore, you must make a panic check. A roll of 0, 0 is always a critical success, and a roll of 99 is always a critical failure. We'll talk more about panic checks in a little bit.
Yikes. Okay, so yeah, it's basically snake eyes. All doubles mean either critical success or critical failure. I'm guessing you're taking as a reference depending on your stat. Like, for example, if you have a let's say 37 in a stat and you roll a 33, that is a failure. But if you have a 20, it's a critical failure. But if you it's a critical success because it's below. But if you, let's say you have 27 in the stat and you roll 33, then that's now a critical failure. You have to take, basically you're taking your stat as the reference point, with the only exception being that 0, 0 is always a success and 99 is always a failure critical wise, which I'm guessing now I understand why the 0, 0 is represented as 0 instead of 9 instead of 100. So you can apply this ruling of double zeros is success, double nines is always failure. And finally, we have skills.
Skills. If a character has a skill that is relevant to the task at hand, you can add the skill's bonus to the stat or save before making your roll, giving you a higher number to roll under. For example, if you are making a speed check and your speed is 34 and you want to add your athletic skill, which is plus 10, you now have to roll under 44.
Yo.
Try it yourself.
Okay, so it gives you like a higher range. Okay. You can add your skill to just the... Okay, so yeah, Treasure Self-Fill is hunkered down behind some rough terrain and wants to shoot at an incoming creature impeding his position. He has a combat of turning 8 and a military training a plus 10. The Warden rules that because he has high ground, Phil has advantage on the stat check. Phil rolls a 33 and a 7. Which roll does he take? Takes, because 20, 38. So yeah, he takes the... Oh, because the lowest is the better. The lower it is, the better you get. Yeah, that's it. Remember, when you have advantage, take the best roll, not just the lowest, in which case it's... Oh, right, because it's double threes. Yeah, because it's 0, 7, then it's 3, 3. Yeah, my bad. The roll is a critical success, which means that the regular 7... Fair enough, fair enough. I should have taken an account because, again, I'm also taking... that's the annoyance of having to do both percentile and 2d10s. Is like, in which scenario is it a percentile, in which scenario it's just accumulated. And personally, it's the thing that, I see 33 and 7. I would have preferred if I had the rollout of the dice result, so it was like, 3 and 30, and here it's 0 and 7, because then probably I would have visualized that, hey, you got 2 3s and 2 in a 0 and a 7, and I was just visualizing the end result. Again, that's just a me thing that I misunderstood it. So yeah, it makes sense. Fair enough. That was me not visualizing, not having something to do with the game. Now there is the system of stress.
Lesson 5. Stress.
Has something to do with failure.
The unknown horrors of the cosmos and the vast emptiness of space take a toll on a person. Stress is a measure of that toll, and how it subtly affects you, bringing you closer to the brink of panic. While stress by itself doesn't do anything, the higher your stress is, the more likely you are to panic. And the more stress you have when you panic, the worse your panic is likely to be. How do you gain stress? There are 4 ways to gain stress. 1. You fail a stat check. Failing at what you mean to do is frustrating and causes you to gain 1 stress. 2.
Reasonable.
You fail a save. When bad things happen to you and you fail to prevent them, this is stressful and you gain 1 stress.
Okay.
3. The situation calls for it. Certain entities are located.
Sometimes it just happens.
Cause you to gain stress just by interacting with them. 4. You choose to. Anytime you feel like it makes sense for your character to gain stress, you can choose to take stress.
Okay.
Generally, this should just be 1 stress. Try not to overdo it.
Yeah.
Every character starts with a minimum stress of 2 and a maximum stress of 20. Any stress you would take over 20 instead decreases the most relevant stat or save, usually the one that just failed the roll. This effect lasts until the player finds a way to treat the damage done. We'll talk about medical treatment in another lesson. For example, Cleo has 20 stress and fails a body save. Her stress stays at 20 and she reduces her body save by 1.
I see.
Remember, you gain stress anytime you fail a stat check or a save. This means that the more often you roll, the more likely you are to fail and the more likely you are to rack up stress. This can even happen in violent encounters with failed combat checks.
So it definitely kind of creates a snowballing effect if you're trying to kind of push yourself beyond, I guess, your human capabilities. I think that's a good way of kind of doing that. But I do appreciate the aspect that, you know, you can add stress even as a kind of a element of roleplay if you feel like it's appropriate for your character, because maybe some scenario could be triggering for the character, or make the character recall something, or just realize that they're in an environment that they do not feel comfortable in. So why not? But again, yeah, don't overdo it. It's nice to do it for, like, it's one of those things where handicapping yourself for the sake of roleplay at times can be nice, but overdoing it can just be debilitating, because, you know, you have to balance out that idea of still being able to utilize the system that this game is giving you to a good level of degree, while at the same time still, you know, be able to engage with both the good and the bads of it in a fun way. Because if you constantly debilitate yourself, you're not necessarily going to have a fun time. It's going to be a point where you're just going to be frustrated that you're constantly failing. That's just because you're just racking this up. And yeah, and I like the idea that you get this kind of aspect. So yeah, from my understanding, that the amount of stress you get, it's more something that can affect your stat rolls in the future if you just let it go like this. I'm guessing there is a way for you to lower your stress. I don't think it was mentioned here by any means. But I guess we're getting to that point. But yeah, it's an interesting way of kind of showing that the more stressed you are and the more you're trying to push yourself through high stress situations, the more likely you're gonna start acting worse and worse. You're probably gonna inevitably fail in a deadly way.
You can relieve stress by resting in a relatively safe place. To do this, make a rest save using your worst save.
Yikes.
If you succeed, reduce your stress by the 1-digit roll. For example, if your worst save is 30 and you roll a 24, reduce your stress by 4. But if you fail, you gain 1 stress. Just like always.
Yikes.
Stress isn't all bad. If your characters have enough time and credits, they can take an extended vacation called shore leave. This is where they can not only relieve their stress, but convert it into improved saves. We'll talk more about shore leave in another lesson.
Interesting. So in a weird way, stress is equally a debilitating aspect of the character, but at the same time, it shows the characters gaining experience and adapting themselves to odd and stressful situations, and which means that if they through the story, through the narrative, through the elements of narrative, that means that basically becoming more adaptable. The more stress you gain, that you then utilize to your stats, which is definitely interesting. So to try it out, Phil has 8 stress and stops to rest in the armory of his ship. His crew barricades the door and they take shifts watching the security footage to make sure nothing sneaks up on them. Phil has a sanity save 13, a fear save 21, and a body save of 18. He rolls a 15. How much stress does he now have? Well, his worst stat is 13. Phil rolled above 13, meaning that's a failure, so he gains the stress. Instead of 8, he has now 9. Phil's worst save is 13, which means that the rest save is a failure, causing him to increase his stress from 8 to 9. Stress isn't all that bad because if you have enough time and credits, you can take an extended vacation leave called shore leave and not only relieve their stress but convert it to improved saves. Are going to be covered another time. And another element that could probably be negative, which was called panic.
Lesson 6. Panic. So what does stress actually do? For the most part, it doesn't do anything unless you gain more than 20. However, there are certain situations where your character will undergo such traumatic...
Oh. Good. Guess we, you just get
undergo such a traumatic event that they will need to make a panic check, and this is where your stress really matters.
It fixes itself.
What is a panic check? A panic check determines whether the character can keep their cool under this extreme pressure. To make a panic check, roll the panic die, 1d20, and attempt to roll greater than your current stress. If you roll less than or equal to your current stress, you fail, and you look up a result on the panic table. The results on the panic table go from bad to worse. So the more stress you have, the more likely it is that you will roll a bad result.
It's so heart attack as one of the options, in the final one being retired if you get to 20. Yeah, panic effects. Yeah, basically determines whether a character keeps their cool under extreme pressures. To make a panic check, roll 1d20, attempt to roll greater than your current stress. If you roll less or equal, you fail. And you here have some options. You have adrenaline rush, +1 on all rolls for the next 10, but I guess, well, adrenaline rush is the only positive one. Nervous, you gain stress. Jumpy, more stress, and all close crew members gain 2 stress. Ow. Overwhelmed, coward, frightened. I'm not gonna read all of them. Nightmares, loss of confidence, deflated, doomed, gain new condition, you feel cursed and unlucky. All critical successes are instead critical failures. That's awful. Vicious, haunted. Yeah, death wish whenever you're encountering a strange or unknown enemy, make a sanity check or immediately attack them. Prophetic vision. Okay, you get Delulu. Catatonic, you get in a coma. Rage. Spiraling. Compounding problems. Roll twice on this table, increase your minimum stress by 1. Heart attack or short circuit for androids. Reduce max wounds by 1. Gain advantage on all rolls for 1d10 hours. Increase minimum stress by 1. Retire. Roll a new character and to play. Yeah, if you get a 20 stress, there's no way for you to succeed. You get a 20. Yikes. That's a rough one. Definitely a rough one. So yeah, panic check. I guess it could be a more kind of, narrative way for your character to retire or for character to suffer grave consequences aside of being, I don't know, destroyed by whatever cosmic horror you're gonna encounter. But yeah, that is rough, buddy. Doesn't sound fun at all. But we're definitely getting there to kind of its completion. We still have a few more things for the panic. And then we are at a final chapter which I think rolls out fine. I think we're within decent amount of time when it comes to our stream. We have like a general 1 yap hour, and we'll see what we'll discuss within upcoming hour. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break here because an ad break is about to come up in a few seconds, and once the ad is over, I'll return. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, there we are. And as before, as I promised, I did refill my water, so I'm just gonna do another sip now for the redeem, because yeah, I don't think what I drank before was enough to be called hydration. There we go. Now it should be nice and well covered. But we were talking about panic checks within the Mothership system. We already got a quick rundown that whenever you have to do a panic check, you roll a 1d20 against your current stress amount, which if it's equal or lower to your current stress, it's a fail. If it's above it, it's a success. So, you know, and failure can lead to many interesting aspects of how your character now behaves and reacts to the world around them, to the point where, you know, worst case scenario, at high level stress, you're just gonna no longer play that character. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. That's definitely...
When to make a panic check. There are 3 situations where you always make a panic check. 1. Anytime you critically fail a stat check. 2. Anytime you critically fail a save. 3. Anytime your ship rolls a critical failure, everyone on board makes a panic check.
Yikes.
We'll talk more about ship combat in an upcoming lesson. Additionally, your warden should call for panic checks when it makes sense in the situation. Situations like watching another crew member die, witnessing more than one crew member panic at the same time, encountering a strange and horrifying entity for the very first time, when all hope is lost and death feels certain, whenever you, the player, feel it makes sense. Your group will discover over time what feels like the right moment for panic checks, but you don't need to force them. Even if you only perform panic checks on critically rolled fails, you still have a great time. And you can add in more panic checks as you get comfortable with the game.
But yeah, overall it's just a balancing act. Like, critical fails are definitely the go-to, specifically for stats and saves and things ship related. Are definitely kind of like the go-to thing, but then anything else is just for the pure narrative, either as a whole group or as a whole game, or for you as a character individually, and however you feel like it. But again, it's kind of the same thing as it was mentioned with the stress. It's something that you have to balance out, not to overuse, because the whole aspect of just constantly giving yourself debilitating effects can ruin the fun of it. But you know, as you get comfortable and get a better understanding of the game, you can probably rack up a bit more. Like, yeah, you can have, as it was mentioned in the video, just focusing on the stat roll section of whenever you're gaining a panic check, and just anything that is narrative related be left as the group gets more used to the system and more used to panic effects. Although I guess like this one technically could also apply with this one here. Technically this could be like a snowballing effect. Like, for example, if you do like a ship roll where everybody present on the ship has to do a roll, and even if you save, you might still be under the situation of realizing that, oh, you're surrounded by 2 members that still failed, so you have to do it again. I think you can probably do something of that sort, I guess. That's definitely like a way for it. But yeah, again, it's the same thing. It's a balancing act. You choose how you feel like it's worthwhile for you.
Conditions. Some results of the panic table are so severe that they leave a lasting impression on you. These are called conditions, and they affect you until you are able to treat them. We'll talk more about medical treatment in another lesson.
Yeah, conditions, I think it was even mentioned on the list here. Like, gain new condition panic checks are at a -1, which is a spiraling one. Like another one, yeah, you gain a new condition, which is haunted. Something starts visiting the character at night in their dreams out of the corner of their eye, and it will soon start making demands. Yikes. doomed. Yeah, feeling cursed and unlucky. Critical successes are considered a critical failure. Oh, that's definitely a horrifying one to have. Loss of confidence. Choose one skill and lose that skill's bonus. Yikes. And gain, and you can sleep is difficult to gain -1 to get the disadvantage to rest save. So yeah, basically these are the ones, and you're gonna have to do big things to get rid of them. So yeah, there are some consequences that are gonna be impactful and definitely probably dictate how your character will behave and roleplay from that point onwards. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's the basic training complete. Okay. Check video.
Basic training complete. This is the absolute basics of how to play Mothership. With this information, you are more than equipped to play your very first game. And if you didn't get everything, that's okay. You'll be playing with other players and a warden who will help guide you along. And if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to our fan communities below for any help.
Yeah, so I'm guessing what was mentioned beforehand when it comes to like future lessons is I'm guessing they're gonna be developing this a lot more in the future, or it's maybe something available under like other platforms, maybe the guidelines and success. And I've not checked the Discord already. I'm not part of them, so I have no idea. But honestly, at the very least, when it comes to like the general rundown, I think they covered it pretty well. And yeah, as I mentioned here, and I've always been this kind of like a proponent of learning as you play. Like, yeah, just get a quick grasp of what are the general things that you need to do. Character creation, of course, you can just have a session 0, be there with your, help out your, your group, your friends, your players, if you're the game master in that scenario, or, if you're a player that has gotten a better grasp of character creation, you can also be there to accompany the game master in assisting. So, things can go more rapidly with character creation. And then all the other finer details, just you figure them out as you encounter them and as you play, and you have them described and detailed in more scrutiny when the moment arises, and you can apply that current scenario as the example of how exactly that thing works. It's not that big of a deal if here. And to be fair, like overall the system, from the looks of it, it's easy to grasp. It's simple. It's not roll heavy. It's not like it's not very dice heavy. Just read 1d20, sorry, and 2d10s for like a percentile, and that's it. Or if you really want to be particular, you can have a percentile and another d10, just so you can then do the d10s and percentile rolls separately, how you prefer. So yeah, so basically at most you just have 4 to 5. You'd have like 4 dice at most. That's it, and a pretty simplistic like character sheet, depending on how advanced you are, because this is like the full character sheet, which even goes through the entire character creation process with the steps. So this is how it's laid out from the very beginning. Which is fine. And you have a minimum stress of 2. So again, you start with 2 at both. You have your health, of course, all the points, and you mentioned here how much bonuses you get for the points. Stats, saves. Yeah, skills are the only one that you don't get a panic for like a critical fail, which it's fine, because it kind of also goes into the idea that the critical failure may not necessarily be because of your own inability, but it's just because of the element of acting under stress. There maybe was something wrong with the machinery itself, depending on how whatever you were trying to enact might also have something wrong with it fundamentally, depending on how you want to roleplay it. I'm guessing skill training has more to do with this, with kind of how stress goes into it, or like the bonuses and all that. Definitely, it's more in-depth ruling, and this was more of a generalized, quick guide how to, quickly approach Yeah, all systems. I'm not sure if there is any. Because the thing is, I've not seen them. Maybe the companion app might have something, but I have no idea. That's something. Yeah, this one is a simple one for those who are more more experienced with the game and don't necessarily round down all the stats. And of course, here you have elements that I guess the game master has to reference the effects. And the companion app does have a web version, but you require a login to do so, which I'm not sure if I'm going to do right now, just because. Actually, let me do it on a separate window, just out of curiosity. Let's go count. As long as it doesn't pull my name. Randomized character, that's for the Companion Pro. Interactive tutorial, let's see. Oh, it gives me the exact same basic training course, nothing. In. It's the whole thing to 10 plus 25. Oh. Oh, it also has like an automatic roller. Confirm. Oh, confirm. Let's see. Just quickly going through it and character. Oh, okay. Fine. Up shit. Okay, let me just. I guess why not? I got a quick idea on how all of this works. But we can go through it. Let me. Fortunately, yeah, there's like a section here on this side. Fortunately, because of how I have this frame, I'm not going to modify it. There's a section of characters. There's a section for roles, where I guess you can see your role history. There's here a section for online session. Guild video. Guessing this tells you how to set up an online session, which is nice. Offer. Look at the play. Dark Mothership. They're just in a. Oh, this is more of a playlist of all people that have covered Mothership. I see. Okay. With the channel here. These are general like overviews that these have nothing to do with like how to run the game. So that's you know, Online session, that's more of a bonus. Yeah, online session map editor are I'm guessing these are something that you need to acquire yourself, and the ship editor as well. There is like a pro version of this game, so that definitely is the thing. So yeah, this is kind of how the character creator works. You start as per the character sheet guideline here, and it really takes you by steps. You can fill them in automatically yourself, or you just roll, get your numbers. You can edit them if you feel like it. Not, you can just go with it. Same thing with sanity. Gives you the guideline, and you just simply roll and go. Then you choose. I'm just gonna go with Android. Also, I was wrong. It was a -10. I thought it was a +10. But I guess, to be fair, with such a big boost in intelligence, and also +60 fear save and all that. Yeah, definitely you need a debilitating effect. But let's say maybe speed. Maybe you're a lumbering machine. You're slow. You can also roll health. Damn, 20. That's 1d10. I rolled max. Holy shit. That's some luck that I'll never see in actual play. Yeah, that's the stress you're gaining. 2 and minimum of 2. Take note of the trauma response. Fear saves made by close friendly players are at a disadvantage. And of course, note the skills. You either have 1 expert skill or 2 trained skills. For 2 trained skills, these are all the options we can have. We already have linguistics, mathematics, and computer because we're an android. And if you want to go expert, we can either go physics, hacking, or technology. Let's say physics. Why not? Say that this machine is more experienced in actual computer stuff. Firm. Then you just roll for anything here, the black marble. It does allow you to also, at the very least, you have the entire selection, which is nice. And then you choose, like, if you want a random loadout or starting credits. Let's random loadout. We have a foam gun, a hazard suit, sample collection kit, screwdriver, and yeah, already from these you can already maybe create some sort of a backstory, like, you sign my paycheck's back patch with a foam gun, hazard suit, sample collection kit, screwdriver. I guess you could say that you're some sort of like maintenance android for some sort of like computer servers in some nuclear biofacility, or maybe like close to the nuclear reactor. Maybe there is like some sort of server components. And you do not care about like any other's opinions. Yeah, you definitely can get like an idea of the personality this character would have. You have some baseline portraits that you can like randomly roll, which is nice. Some of the robotic. You know how this one works, why not? Confirm. And then you just name and pronouns. Okay, for a second I was like, did they name she heard? Okay, why not? And you go Augustus Francis, why not? Then you can just review your character, see all the stats and everything they have available, and just say complete. There you have it. You have additional armor that you can add. You have additional weapons, damn, that you can add. Equipment, contractors. That's a paid experience. Now for the foam gun. I don't know what the foam gun is though. Can I mention? Damage, fair enough. Tells you how many available credits I have. Mention it anywhere here because I only saw it here in the add armor and add equipment. Yeah, but it's 90. Oh, those are, it's the same section. Fair enough. Oh yeah, that's just how the character creator is. You have a section for notes, you have a section where you can add a custom item, descriptions, one. But yeah, overall, as I said, easy to understand, easy to learn, quick, pretty to grasp. Not much for it. Is definitely there to just you have the foundation for the horror experience, and it's definitely more kind of, you know, role play driven. I like the themings, I like the ideas, and I like this kind of like impending doom concept that it kind of goes with. Definitely kind of, it's definitely fun. It has a fun twist to it. That's for sure. Honestly, when it comes to like this, the educational system, let me just out back to normal amount. I do like it. I like this this approach. Aside from hitting with the theme that, you know, you're a space crew, so you know you're definitely gonna have some high tech in some ways of some high tech form of onboarding, which is definitely some sort of a video presentation type of thing where it kind of tells you all the basics that you need to know to, I don't know, how to do your job on a ship or anything of the sorts. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense even within the theming, but it's also an easy and approachable way to learn, because you're not just throwing a set of pages full of text to a player to be like, here, you know, here, start you know, reading, covering this and start learning this. Like, you know, you have different methods of, you know, of interacting and approaching with it, because, you know, you have the video presentation, which just gives you like a few visual guides, things here and there, and visual clues, and visual information for all those visual learners. You also have the text also just purely audio. You have the video also just purely audio if you just want to simply listen as you maybe even either go through the entire text yourself, which is the video or the audio is fully transcribed and you don't really have any extra info that you need to read yourself. So it could be like an extra helpful tool, or you just simply can just listen to this while maybe at the same time you're actually, you know, completing a character creation tool. So plus, you know, because it's formatted in these like quick clips where it covers each specific section one by one in 1 to 3 minutes at most of bytes of information. That's easy to approach. It's something that you can just jump in, jump out, and even here, like what? It took us like less than an hour and a half. It took us maybe an hour and 20-ish minutes, and that's because I also interjected with my own things and just said and yapped in my own way, because otherwise, maybe actually not even an hour, like 2 hours. It took us like, yeah, 2 hours. Let's say 2 hours and a bit. Actually, no, you know what? I'll put it exactly at 2 hours, because we did have a bit of a yapping before we actually got into it and all that. Yeah, let's put it at 2 hours. That's the general thing. So yeah, and that's because I also added my own interjection and my own communication. Like, I'm pretty sure like you could probably half that amount, and at most this could cover you probably like an hour if you wanted to, maybe even less than an hour if you just quickly go through and listen. But you know, if you want to take it slow, it can be even less than an hour. So that's something that you can easily jump through at a point in whenever you have like an hour or two free of your day before, I don't know, a session happens. You can already just get the bare bones, and then the more in-depth things you can do them already in session 0 along with your group and all that. So yeah, easy, quite approachable. I do like it. It's pretty. It's a fun way of introducing. Like, I know it does require a bit more extra effort and production for a studio, but it's in my opinion, because that's kind of the big thing when it comes to, if you are a RPG creator that wants to kind of put themselves out there and wants, you know, for people to kind of like pick up your system, figure out methods for your target audience to easily jump at it, like remove the barriers. That's kind of the thing. Like, the less barriers of entry your system has, the better. Like, the easier it is for your system to be approached, the more likely it is that you're gonna have people interested in it, and the more people are gonna jump at it. You're not just gonna have a small niche that is willing to, tough through, reading walls of text or trying to underscribe the maybe very hyper detailed rulings, because that can also be a thing. If the wording is too cumbersome and way too many things to take in account at once, it can be unappealing. So here, because they did it like in small snippets, in like 3 formats, because they did it video, audio, and written, so you have a pick and you can choose between them, you can mix and match. That's so you can and it covered the very basics. I think it's really helpful, and I'm definitely it's gonna make it approachable and make it noticeable, and for people to easily kind of jump out of whatever games they were already playing and give this one a try, because they have an easier way of just getting the basic rundown of the bare necessities on how to play the game and how to make a character, which is really important. Because yeah, outside of that, there's not much else. And it doesn't, and after seeing this, it doesn't surprise me why they are like an award-winning sci-fi horror RPG. I think they know how to cater to an audience and how to, make themselves noticeable and to kind of put themselves out there in a way that brings attention. And I definitely want to see more of this, like not just sci-fi horror, but even in how TTRPGs are presenting, especially because we are in a medium right now where we have access to so many forms of showing the formatting of YouTube videos. Like, for example, how Daggerheart has done it with having a quick kind of 30-ish, 40-ish minutes kind of quick rundown of how the game is run, and even have like longer like character creation sessions, all that that they've done in the past with even some people within the cast crew. They've added a bit of like humorous spin to kind of keep people engaged. But they're try to adapt to the time. Don't just think that, oh, because people are tabletop players are used to the idea that everything is a physical written format of ruling. That doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have to adapt to the times, or at least give alternatives that make bring more visibility to your product, especially with public platforms like YouTube and maybe even other ones like TikTok or even some social medias, because it's not only that you're putting yourself out there, but you're putting stuff within an algorithm, and people then can get recommended and can reach out to others that they themselves might have not actively searched for, but because your guideline content and your tutorial content and your quick starter guide content, it's getting traction, it might reach out to more and more people. So it's definitely helpful to have multiple ways of teaching your game. Of course, it still has to remain the true and tried method of still having a physical, or at least a digital PDF formatting of your rule set, so at least people can quickly reference and easily reference. But at least for an easy way of introducing yourself or introducing someone to the system, definitely having alternatives helps out a lot. And honestly, it's a system that looks really interesting. I'm a sucker for sci-fi, cosmic horror. 100% I would sign up for this kind of thing, and I would honestly give it a try, especially because it's easy to approach. So it definitely shows that it's focused more on the kind of horror, dark atmosphere experience, and you trying to roleplay and engage yourself within that world, and minimizing how much you have to do within the mechanical sense, and by just limiting yourself to, at most, as I said, 4 dice if you really want to have a separation between the 2d10s and the percentile, and a d20, if not even 3, and that's it. Basically covered from that point on. Nothing else that you need, and a very simple and straightforward character creation tool that even at all times it shows you all the required information that you need to know. Wow, so it minimizes all the efforts of you having to look at a paper, at a character sheet, and be like, okay, what I need to do, where's the plus, where's the minuses, what's the math that I need to do, and it's everything just done at a quick glance, and then you're jumping right back into like telling a story, you know, pushing the narrative forward, both you as a player and you as a group, and a general session alongside your game master. So yeah, another one that definitely is. I think this one is probably focused a lot more on the roleplay pillar than I don't think the exploration pillar, but definitely because it has like a Call of Cthulhu and to some extent traveler kind of inspiration, or it feels like a mixture of the two. It definitely has some of that investigation, but I'm guessing not as heavily compared to what Call of Cthulhu or even like something like Candle Obscura would be. The exploration pillars would definitely be heavier there, but yeah, I think it's more the roleplay pillar because, you know, especially even where the social roles are not even dictated by any sorts of stats or numbers or anything like that. That's just you purely characterizing your player character, and you know, embodying it to whatever degree you see fit. But yeah, that's Mothership. I guess it definitely was a quick rundown. I kind of expected that because of how short and you know, how brief this was, but which is fine. I have nothing against that. As I said before, when it comes to like even streams where I'm just covering the general aspects of a game, I'm fine if it's a bit shorter and whatnot. As I said, I just had right now my moment of just generally yapping and I think whatever, so it's fine. But yeah, that's kind of it. I don't think I have anything else to specifically add. Definitely a game that I would honestly keep an eye out for, and if Ghost really wants to jump at that and give it a try when the inevitable comeback of the actual plays are gonna happen sometime in the middle of next year, I would expect. And if this one gets onto the list, yeah, that's definitely gonna be something there. That's gonna be events and happenings, and I'll definitely keep an eye out. Who knows, maybe try it out myself at some point, but again, maybe when I get an opportunity to actually get my hands on a full version of the core book, that's for sure. Till then, just probably fantasize myself of what exactly I would do in this game. To be fair, there's so many RPGs out there, so many interesting ones, or unique in their own way, that I would love to give it a try. As I've said before, like, I think all the systems that I've covered, all the games that I've covered so far, have unique things and fun things that I would love to give it a try, either as a player or as a game master, whichever. If not, in some cases, maybe even both. I don't think there is a system so far that, out of the ones that I've covered, that I would not necessarily be interested in, but I at least want to give a try. To be fair, I could be an exception, because I kind of want to diversify my knowledge of tabletop RPGs and to get a better grasp on how I could approach certain concepts, certain designs, certain ideas, and that means trying as many varied systems as possible that approach the tabletop experience in vastly different ways. But yeah. But anyways, I think let me just put myself to the chatting screen, because no reason for me to still be on the Mothership one, because I am already kind of done with all this. There's no need anything else. And, you know, looking at the time and looking at all that, I think like we've ran at a decent pace. I don't necessarily mind that this is gonna be like a shorter stream if there's nothing else for us to cover or for us to like generally yap about or talk. I'm fine to kind of keep this as a short, quick introduction, short rundown through the general system and the general game. There's definitely going to be an interesting thing starting from next week, because I have no idea what exactly I want to cover, tabletop related. That's for sure. Because I kind of went with the idea of checking quick starter guides of some horror-themed related systems, because I don't necessarily own any horror-esque systems or games. PDF, so that's kind of the reason. But I believe these were the two ones that I had in mind. One of them, Mothership, being recommended to me, Candle Obscura being the one that I had in mind for a bit. So starting for the 23rd and on the 30th. We'll have to see. Well, to be fair, on the final week of October, it's still up to debate because, as I said before, there have been some discussion. There have been some starting discussions of me participating on a stream. It just now depends when exactly I'm gonna participate on, when exactly. Because right now, the first thing that we are we are first determining is actually scheduling, like at what day should we run this. That's definitely the first, like, the go-to. And then we'll see afterwards what exactly is gonna happen. So there's a possibility that the final month of October might be occupied by that stream, which I guess that could be a way, that could be kind of that could be not necessarily occupied, but it could be occupied at my usual runtime, and I might have to reschedule on a different day of that week, depending. Oh, actually, no, I was looking for 31st. It's still the same thing. 31st, it be the last day of October. Not sure, depends. There's a possibility even within next week, though. Now that I think about it, there is a possibility that I'll have to, because the Stream for a Cause event starts on the 23rd or 22nd. Double check, so I'm not pulling dates out of my own ass. Amy's content. (22nd of October). Okay, yeah. So starting from Wednesday next week till we said 10 days. So I think until the 31st. I think that's the plan, right? Until November 1st. 22nd till November 1st. Yeah, that's the plan and the idea. Okay. That's definitely the go-to thing. So yeah, there is a possibility that for a good chunk, either next week or the week after that, some aspects of my schedule would be a bit wonky. Hopefully, things are gonna be decided by Sunday, so I can have a schedule set up without having to, in the moment, change things up. Because at the very least, for the one that I'm currently discussing for the scheduling and where it lines up with everybody, I'm willing to, take a bullet for the team because I'm the only one that is within the European time zone. So yeah, I'm willing to take the bullet and just having a bit of a late night stream, and depending on when that lines up, the stream either of that day or the day after might have to be cancelled depending on how long it runs. Maybe it's still a bit up to debate where exactly that will go, but we'll figure it out. So so yeah, that can be a possibility, but again, I'll think about it. We'll see. Although I will give you a hint with what exactly that stream could be related. It could be a replacement for one of the ttrpg themed streams, if this one happens within one of those days. Maybe it could replace it, that meaning that I would technically only need to have one, but at the same time, in theory, it's not gonna be on my channel, or I'm not gonna have. I'm definitely not gonna have a perspective on my own side of things. I don't think so. Don't see the purpose of it. I'm probably just gonna be a participating member in their stream. About it, yeah. Again, I'll think about it. I'll figure it out. I'll call it over on Sunday during the weekend to see, like, if an idea comes around, or maybe I find some other system for me to cover that has some quick starter guide I might just scour the HIO or other things. I might have something myself though. I do have some freebie stuff from HIO from some older bundles, so I'll have to check that one out. Maybe there's something there for me to get my hands on. We'll see. But anyways, I think I don't think I'm gonna keep any of you for any longer, as nothing else is to be come around for today. So I think it's a nice moment for us to jump somewhere else. Things, stop it. Okay. Not expecting anybody to into what I'm doing, so at the very least maybe something horror-esque. Is anybody doing that? Some degree. This is fairly fortunate. So jumping at very different. Oh great, I just jumped right into an ad, so I might have to wait. You know, just hope nothing weird happens, but at the very least we can get it up here, so like I'm not starting to, you know, prep for the raid immediately, just because you know, yeah, okay, the ad is gone, so we can do that. So first I did it on this side of the chat. Now let's do it on the other channel. Raid, not necessarily horror theme, but at the very least the vtuber themselves are horror in theming. We are jumping at Fuel's place. They are currently playing some Final Fantasy 14. So I think that sounds like a bit of a fun time. They're doing some lores. I think there's something, I'm guessing it's some game system that I'm not yet fully familiar of. No idea. We'll have to again, I'm not at any point close to any sort of like end game, and I don't think I will be anytime soon, but that's definitely the plan. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today. Tomorrow we're finishing up Soma. That's gonna be the plan, so we're gonna play for how long that game is still gonna be running, which I don't think it's too long. I think we're pretty close to it. I think either 4 hours maybe left of it, something like that. So there's a possibility next stream to also be short-ish. We'll have to see. So that's definitely a thing, and that's probably gonna be it for me this week. And then we'll see each other next week with a new schedule of me doing some continuing the ZZZ storyline, the more FF14. That's for sure on my end as well. As I said, ttrpg up to debate. Depending on the schedule, some other things might happen as well. And then I'll also decide on a new indie spooky thing to check out. So yeah, that's the plan. Thanks so much for being here. You've been amazing. Don't you forget that. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.